Hollywood, starred as an agent. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction. So please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story and all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter. And if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 326. Are you teaching me how to manage business? That evening, at the Gramercy Park Hotel in Manhattan, Aaron brought Christiana Yeri to a cocktail party. Honey, I'm going to be gone for a minute, Aaron said, hugging Christiana Yeri and kissing her. With her long hair flowing down her shoulders and her eyes piercing, she was incredibly beautiful. Well, go ahead, I'll wait for you. The cocktail party was specially organized by Michael Ovitz, and not only Aaron Anderson but also Edgar Bronfman Jr. of the Seagram Group were invited. In a small conference room at the hotel, Edgar Bronfman Jr., Aaron Anderson, and Michael Ovitz sat on a sofa. Aaron, try it. This is a 1921 Martel. It's delicious. Edgar Bronfman Jr. personally poured Aaron a glass of wine. Aaron smiled and said, Seagram's got quite a few liquor brands now. Then, he took a sip and looked at the other party. Is Seagram ready to cross over from the liquor industry to the Hollywood film industry? Edgar Bronfman Jr. shrugged and said, I'm very confident. It depends on you, Aaron, whether you will give me this opportunity. Michael Ovitz on the side laughed and said, Panasonic is fearless now because Sugan and Seagram are bidding for it. Panasonic is also learning from Paramount last year. If this happens, the result will be bad for both Sugan and Seagram. Edgar Bronfman Jr. took a puff of his cigar and looked at Aaron. I've already talked to DuPont. They will spend $8.8 billion to buy back the shares owned by Seagram. Aaron, this is Seagram's trump card. Together with our own funds, we have more than $10 billion in cash available. Edgar Bronfman Jr. pointed to the cigar beside him and said, Aaron, try it. It's the top quality cigar from Cuba, suitable for young people. Aaron shook his head and lit a cigarette. I'm not used to cigars. However, Edgar Bronfman Jr.'s words did surprise Aaron. A cash flow of $10 billion was scary enough. Aaron smiled. Is Seagram really going to buy MCA at all costs? Michael Ovitz stood up and poured Aaron another glass of wine. Aaron, we all know that bidding like this will only benefit Panasonic. That's unnecessary. With you, Sugan will be a top Hollywood studio no matter what. If Sugan gives up MCA, they can acquire MGM United Artists. MGM has a strong foundation. It's the founder of the Oscars and a member of the MPAA, the Lion brand, United Artists Copyright Library, and the countless undeveloped projects in MGM's film library will all be Sugan's assets. Sugan previously acquired the Samuel Goldwyn and Orion libraries. With the addition of United Artists Library, its strength will be no less than that of the Big Six film groups. Aaron narrowed his eyes. So this was the intention behind asking him to meet? Let Sugan acquire MGM? After glancing at Michael Ovitz, Aaron turned his gaze to Edgar Bronfman Jr. I think it would be better for Seagram to acquire MGM. At least the price would be much cheaper. MCA Universal is too large, and the scale of its losses is not comparable to MGM. Seagram has just entered Hollywood, so he can use MGM as a transition. Besides, you two know that Universal has suffered significant losses in recent years. Sony just wrote off $3.4 billion in liabilities from Columbia TriStar last year. According to this model, Sony won't own Columbia TriStar for much longer. Well, Edgar Bronfman Jr. frowned. Should Seagram acquire MGM first and then wait for an opportunity to acquire Columbia TriStar? Michael Ovitz spoke again. His tone somewhat helpless. Aaron, Sugan doesn't really need to change its current development. It's in movies, television, cable networks, theater chains, news publishing, and so on. The momentum of horizontal expansion is good. MCA may be a burden to Sugan. Aaron stared at Michael Ovitz. This guy really cares about Edgar Bronfman Jr. Mr. Ovitz, are you trying to teach me how to run a film company? Aaron Anderson's words embarrassed not only Michael Ovitz but also surprised Edgar Bronfman Jr. Edgar Bronfman Jr. was essentially an outsider to Hollywood. Michael Ovitz, while a prominent figure in the industry, was merely an agent. And who is Aaron Anderson? A recognized Hollywood genius, the title of Hollywood's golden boy was well deserved. Throughout Hollywood history, No one had ever dared to claim he didn't understand film, nor had anyone else dared to claim they knew better. Aaron, what I mean is, Aaron interrupted Michael Ovitz before he finished speaking, it's impossible for Sugan to give up the acquisition of MCA directly. Seagram has strong capital, and don't forget Sugan's capital. I am not short of money, as long as the price of MCA is within my acceptable range, Sugan must acquire it. Edgar Bronfman Jr. smiled and looked directly at Aaron. It seems that we have to compete seriously this time. I hope you can accomplish what Barry Diller has not accomplished. Barry Diller, as a successful manager of a Hollywood studio, failed in his bid for Paramount with Summer Redstone. Aaron Anderson is the second Barry Diller of Hollywood. Aaron stood up. Barry Diller? He is just the CEO of QVC and owns 2% of the shares. All the support comes from Wall Street investors. How can a TV shopping network compare with Viacom Group? Think of yourself as Barry Diller. Don't say this guy can't compare to me, but you can't compare to Summer Redstone either. Aaron's negotiations with Edgar Bronfman Jr. and Michael Ovitz naturally came to nothing. Back in the banquet hall, Christiana Yeri immediately approached Aaron. What's wrong? You don't look well. Aaron shrugged. Nothing, I guess I'm a little tired, Christiana Yeri suggested. Then why don't we go back and rest early? Let's go, Aaron said, genuinely uninterested in staying. Meanwhile, after Aaron Anderson left, Edgar Bronfman Jr. and Michael Ovitz discussed acquiring MCA. According to the current situation, the only way to acquire MCA is to outbid Suzuki on price, Michael Ovitz sighed. After all, Seagram had no advantage over Suzuki. Edgar Bronfman Jr. shook his head. If the acquisition price is too high, I'll have a hard time convincing the other members. Let's offer $6.6 billion. Chapter 327, Cannot Breach of Contract. Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, MCA Headquarters Offices. Sidney Sheinberg and Lou Wasserman sat on the sofa, smoking cigars. The Seagram Group has offered Panasonic $6.6 billion to acquire MCA. How much do you think Sugan will offer? Lou Wasserman smiled and shook his head. It depends on how much Sugan shares Aaron is willing to give up. Panasonic isn't willing to completely abandon its Hollywood business. Sidney Sheinberg was also surprised. Yes, Sugan's development is truly astonishing. Sugan has surpassed a market share of all 6 major film studios. There's a saying that rings true. For live-action films, look to Sugan, and for animated films, look to Disney. These two companies represent the new generation of Hollywood studios. Disney is better, having been around for quite some time, having risen to prominence in the 1980s and become a major player in Hollywood. Sugan is different. It's only been around a few years, but it's already grown from an independent film company into a major Hollywood producer. Sugan's office is in Lower Manhattan. Peter Peterson came to meet with Aaron. Seagram's bid is $6.6 billion. Aaron's face was expressionless, his fingers tapping lightly on the table. What does Panasonic think of Sugan's shares? The most they can accept is a 1-1 equity swap between MCA and Sugan. If Sugan's acquisition is successful, Panasonic hopes to exchange 20% of MCA's shares for 10% of the new Sugan, and Panasonic will appoint its own people to Sugan's board of directors. On the surface, Sugan certainly couldn't compare to MCA worldwide, but Sugan's profit margin was the highest in Hollywood. Sugan's valuation was already sky-high. Aaron glanced at Peter Peterson. What about those Wall Street investment banks? Peter Peterson smiled. They're very willing to support Sugan's acquisition of MCA, providing capital in the form of loans and convertible bonds, and there's no cap. They only have one prerequisite: you're deeply tied to Sugan. Everyone knew Aaron Anderson was Sugan's greatest asset. With him, Sugan would have unparalleled competitiveness. Aaron nodded. Go meet with Murayst Suzo. I'll give you a 10% stake. I'll then split MCA. Murayst Suzo was Panasonic's senior executive vice president, specifically responsible for the MCA transaction on behalf of Morishita Yoichi. Soon, Sugan made another offer for MCA, $6.8 billion, and the price war with Seagram Group reached a fever pitch. The Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the Houston Post-Gazette, the Los Angeles Times, and other newspapers covered the story extensively. Hollywood Golden Boy vs. Wine Tycoon. However, with the 52nd Golden Globe Awards underway, Aaron returned to Los Angeles from New York. Mr. Anderson, are you determined to win MCA? Aaron, how would you feel if you could reclaim Universal Pictures from the Japanese? Aaron, who do you think will be your biggest competitor in Hollywood? At the entrance to the Burbank headquarters, a large number of media reporters gathered. Aaron, escorted by security, finally got into the car. These reporters, Aaron shook his head after getting in the car, wondering how these reporters knew he was back. Christiana Yeri, who was standing by, adjusted Aaron's tie and said with a smile, "It can't be helped. You're so popular right now. Self-made billionaires always hold a certain allure, no matter where they live. Someone like Aaron Anderson transcends the ordinary person's imagination." Has the casting for Broken Arrow been confirmed? Christiana Yeri was set to play the female lead in Chinese director John Woo's new film, Broken Arrow. Aaron was still keeping an eye on Don's projects. It's confirmed, it's Christian Slater, starring opposite John Travolta. I heard Christian Slater turned down a role in Sylvester Stallone's new film, The Last Assassin, to take Broken Arrow, Christiana Yeri explained. Of course, in The Last Assassin, Christian Slater's character was a villain. In New York City, in the Seagram Building's offices on Park Avenue in Midtown Manhattan, Edgar Bronfman Jr. sat on a sofa, smoking a cigar. Michael Ovitz, standing nearby, said, "Acabano has raised the price to $6.8 billion. Edgar Bronfman Jr., sitting on the sofa, puffed out a puff of cigarette, feeling a little irritated. "It seems Acabano is determined to acquire MCA. How did your meeting with Matsushita's Murase Tsuyoshi go?" Michael Ovitz shook his head. Panasonic said it was all a normal bidding process. Edgar Bronfman Jr. frowned. "Our MCA Global's assets really worth that now? Forget it. I need to discuss it with the other members of the Seagram family first. Besides, I'm also planning to sell my DuPont shares as soon as possible." After leaving the Seagram building, Michael Ovitz headed directly to the airport, preparing to catch a late-night red-eye flight back to Los Angeles. On the evening of January 21st, the 52nd Golden Globe Awards were grandly held at the Beverly Hills Hilton Hotel. At a private club in Hollywood, Aaron met up with Jennifer Aniston. "Aaron, Dawn is definitely going to win big at the Golden Globes tonight, aren't you going to pay attention?" Jennifer Aniston leaned into Aaron's arms, a smile on her face. "Hell, Forrest Gump has such a high chance of winning, there's no need to worry too much." Aaron shook his head, then lowered his head and passionately kissed the woman in his arms, reaching into her arms and caressing her softness. After the kiss, Aaron hugged the girl in his arms and said, "The ratings of Friends Season 1 are very good, especially your role as Rachel Green is quite popular. The filming of the second season has also started. I plan to let you star in Jim Carrey's comedy movie. It suits your image very well." Jennifer Aniston was stunned. "Oh, you mean Jim Carrey's comedy?" Aaron nodded. "It's Jim Carrey's sequel Ace Ventura 2. As one of the hottest male stars last year, Jim Carrey became famous at a rocket-like speed. Dawn's Ace Ventura 2 and The Mask performed well. Jim Carrey's work Dumb and Dumber, released by New Line, was released at the end of last year, and the North American box office has also exceeded $100 million. Ace Ventura 2 is a work that Jim Carrey has already signed. Even if he doesn't like to star in the sequel, he can't breach the contract. Chapter 328 Ultimatum. With the conclusion of the 52nd Golden Globe Awards, Forrest Gump won Best Picture, Drama, Best Actor, Drama, and Best Director. The Lion King won Best Picture, Musical Comedy, Best Original Score, and Best Original Score. Quentin Tarantino won Best Screenplay for Pulp Fiction. Sophia Loren received the Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement. On the sofa in Bel Air, Jennifer Aniston lay in a man's arms. The biggest winner is, of course, Forrest Gump. Aaron smiled and stroked the woman. "It's obvious, what a shame. Pulp Fiction is absolutely a great movie." Jennifer Aniston shook her head. "It's a shame it ran into Forrest Gump." Aaron couldn't deny it, but he felt even more regrettable about The Shawshank Redemption. It only had 2 nominations to begin with, and now, with no awards at all, coupled with the extremely low box office, it really was born at the wrong time. Aaron kissed the girl. "By the way, you must have been the highest paid in Friends Season 2, right?" As he spoke, Aaron reached out and unhooked Jennifer Aniston's bra. Jennifer Aniston rubbed the man's chest and responded, "David Schwimmer, who played Ross Geller, and I were the highest paid. We made $40,000 per episode in Friends Season 2, based on 25 episodes. She could have earned $1 million from Friends Season 2. Aaron smiled and raised his hand to caress the girl's chest. "Well, you two are the most popular in Friends." Jennifer Aniston leaned over and kissed Aaron on the face. "Aaron, are you still going out?" "No," Aaron said, and rolled over and pressed on Jennifer Aniston. blocking the girl under him with a passionate kiss. Jennifer Aniston put her arms around the man's neck. The Golden Globe Awards concluded successfully, with Dawn's Forrest Gump and Disney's The Lion King crowned the biggest winners. Both films also performed exceptionally well at the box office. The Lion King surpassed $300 million in North America and over $400 million overseas, bringing its global total to $700 million. Forrest Gump surpassed $310 million in North America and another $310 million overseas, bringing its global total to $620 million. Meanwhile, Dawn's Pulp Fiction surpassed $80 million in North America, and another, Legends of the Fall, surpassed $50 million. One morning, Aaron woke up from bed and didn't see Jennifer Aniston next to him. Instead, he heard the sound of running water in the bathroom. Aaron got out of bed and called out, "Are you taking a shower, Annie?" "Yes, you're awake." "Yeah," Aaron said, and went straight into the bathroom. Jennifer Aniston was under the shower when she saw the man come in. "Hey, why don't you get some sleep?" "How can I sleep if you're not here?" Aaron immediately hugged the woman and kissed her affectionately on the cheek. Well, wasn't last night enough? Sensing the man's transformation, Jennifer Aniston caressed Aaron's chest. "What do you think?" Aaron smiled, then hugged the woman and kissed her. Jennifer Aniston responded passionately, hugging the man. Soon, Jennifer Aniston crouched down. "Huh, honey?" Aaron tilted his head back, letting the water wash over his face, and reached out to stroke Jennifer Aniston's long hair. By the end of January, Seagram's acquisition price for MCA Universal had increased to $7 billion. In the offices of Dawn's headquarters in Burbank, Jessica Parker looked at Aaron. "Now, what do we do? If MCA's value exceeded $7 billion, it would exceed Aaron's expectations." Aaron looked up. "Did Seagram sell DuPont shares?" Jessica Parker nodded. "Over $8 billion, and DuPont repurchased those shares. Notify Peter Peterson that I need to meet with Murray Tsutomu in person." "Okay." In early February, Aaron arrived at Panasonic's headquarters in New York. Coincidentally, Panasonic's president, Yoichi Morishita, was also in New York. At Panasonic's New York office, Aaron, along with Peter Peterson of Blackstone and Jessica Parker, met with Morishita, Murray, and others from Panasonic. Seagram offered $7 billion. While Panasonic is very interested in Sugan, the board of directors will definitely have to seriously consider it, Yoichi Morishita whispered to Aaron Anderson. Aaron simply rubbed his ears a few times. $7 billion is certainly not a low price. How about this? Sugan will contribute $5.8 billion in cash plus a 10% stake in the merged new Sugan. This is Sugan's final offer. If Panasonic doesn't agree, the acquisition will be void. Give me your answer by March. If you exceed this deadline, I will also abandon the acquisition. You can also choose to sell MCA to Seagram. With that, Aaron stood up and walked out of the office without looking back. Jessica Parker and Peter Peterson followed suit. In the office, after Aaron Anderson and his group left, Morishita Yoichi and Murray Tsuzo were still puzzled. Sure enough, he holds a high position at such a young age, and his working style is indeed extraordinary. Morishita Yoichi smiled, looked at Murray Tsuzo and asked, "What do you think?" Murray Tsuzo thought for a while. $5.8 billion in cash plus 10% of New Dawn's shares. The acquisition price that Mr. Anderson paid to MCA is more than $7.2 billion. This price has exceeded our expectations by hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think the Seagram Group can offer much higher. More importantly, 10% of the shares of Dawn Group are too attractive. Murray Tsuzo is clear about Dawn's current status in Hollywood. In just 5 years, he has been able to develop a newly established film company into the film group with the largest market share in Hollywood. There is absolutely no doubt about Aaron Anderson's ability. Morishita nodded. Sony is fully committed to the entertainment industry, and Toshiba has also acquired a stake in Time Warner. If Panasonic completely withdraws from Hollywood, it would be a complete failure. Morishita ordered, "Let's return to Japan as soon as possible and hold a board meeting." Akebano had issued an ultimatum, giving Panasonic only 1 month to consider. Morishita knew the patience was running out, or MCA would be sold to Seagram. "Hey, I'll arrange it right away," Murray Michizo bowed in response. Chapter 329 No Way Out. New York, Manhattan, Madison Square Garden. The Houston Rockets were visiting the New York Knicks, and Aaron watched a Rockets defeat from a private room. The Rockets, They don't seem to be playing very well this season, Jennifer Connelly sighed after returning to her Upper East Side villa. Aaron nodded. Yet, the players are aging quite a bit, and their effectiveness has been affected, but the Trailblazers' star player, Clyde Drexler, is in talks with the Rockets about a transfer. Clyde Drexler, already 33 years old, had played for the Portland Trailblazers for 12 seasons. He had led them to the finals twice before, but only to return home empty-handed. Clyde Drexler, are the Rockets trying to sign him? Jennifer Connelly asked, sitting directly in Aaron's arms. Well, the Trailblazers haven't had great results in the last 2 years. Clyde Drexler's age and injuries have caused his numbers to decline. The Portland Trailblazers are rebuilding now. Clyde Drexler went to the University of Houston and was a college classmate of Hakeem Olajuwon. It's great for Clyde Drexler to join the Rockets while he's still got a fighting chance, Aaron said, feeling the 34D breasts in his arms. Jennifer Connelly cradled Aaron's head and kissed him. Clyde Drexler didn't even make the All-Star team this year. Choosing a championship-winning team at the end of his career is a good idea. Aaron smiled and kissed the girl on the lips. Soon, Jennifer Connelly was lying on the sofa, letting Aaron lie on top of her. By the way, did you follow the Super Bowl just now? Aaron nodded. Of course I did. The AFC champions San Diego Chargers played the NFC champions San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers defeated the Chargers 49-26, winning their 5th Super Bowl title. Thanks to Michael Jackson's appearance, the Super Bowl halftime show has become a time slot for top artists to perform. The Super Bowl's halftime commercials have also become a platform for film studios to promote their films. Well, in case you didn't know, Jennifer Connelly rubbed Aaron's back. The NFL team's Los Angeles Raiders are moving to Oakland, and the Los Angeles Rams are moving to St. Louis. The Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, where the Raiders play, was damaged in the earthquake, and the city government won't fund renovations. The Angel Stadium of Anaheim, where the Rams play, is moving due to low attendance. Jennifer Connelly knew Aaron had always had a keen eye for NFL teams. That means there won't be any NFL clubs left in Los Angeles. That leaves the NBA's Los Angeles Lakers and Los Angeles Clippers, the MLB's Los Angeles Dodgers and Anaheim Angels, and the NHL's Los Angeles Kings and Anaheim Ducks. It seems the Los Angeles Rams have also brought on a new shareholder, Stan Kroenke, the husband of Ann Walton, one of the Walton family heirs. Also, the NFL team Tampa Bay Buccaneers is being acquired by Malcolm Glazer's family company. Aaron looked up. Stan Kroenke, Malcolm Glazer. Wasn't Stan Kroenke the future owner of the Denver Nuggets, who also acquired Arsenal? And as for Malcolm Glazer, wasn't he the Glazer family that would later acquire Manchester United? Well, what's wrong? Do you know him? Aaron shook his head, then leaned over and kissed the girl on the mouth. You seem to know all about these NFL league things. Of course, I've been following it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in trouble now because the owner has passed away, and his descendants are not very interested in running the club, Jennifer Connelly said, directly blocking Aaron's mouth, her tongue flying. NFL clubs in the United States don't change owners very often, and the NFL league stipulates that companies are not allowed to acquire teams, only private ownership is allowed. Therefore, most NFL owners are passed down through families. Because Aaron Anderson issued an ultimatum to Panasonic's Morishita Yoichi, and the valuation of over $7.2 billion was completely in line with Panasonic's expectations, plus Panasonic could also own 10% of the shares of the new company, it was still very attractive to Panasonic's board of directors. But this put Edgar Bronfman Jr., the head of the Seagram Group, in a difficult position. Seagram's valuation of MCA was around $6 billion. After the bid reached $7 billion, he was already under tremendous pressure. He sold Seagram's DuPont stock, but of course, he couldn't invest all the proceeds into the acquisition of MCA. After all, he had to repay a lot of Seagram's debts first. At Disneyland in Florida, Michael Eisner returned to the hotel after inspecting it and asked his assistant about DreamWorks. Did Jeffrey Katzenberg ask for his 2% dividend again? Yes, Jeffrey Katzenberg asked us to pay him no less than $60 million as soon as possible. $60 million, Michael Eisner sneered. He can't even think of getting another dollar from Disney. Leave this matter to the group's legal department. Michael Eisner was very reluctant to see Jeffrey Katzenberg succeed, and of course he would suppress the newly formed DreamWorks SKG. By the way, how is the acquisition of MCA going? The assistant thought for a moment and said, Asuko has made a new offer, and the valuation of MCA has exceeded $7.2 billion US. According to internal information, Panasonic wants to retain part of the equity, and Asuko will probably choose the acquisition method of cash and shares. Michael Eisner nodded. The whole of Hollywood knows about Sukako's strength. Aaron Anderson has also fought his way out step by step. As for Edgar Bronfman Jr., he is 40 years old, but has accomplished nothing. He relies on his family's wealth to compete with Aaron Anderson, who started from scratch. Unless he can offer a price that Panasonic cannot refuse, otherwise, I don't think he can compete with Aaron Anderson. The assistant shook his head. The outside world doesn't know the specific situation yet, but I heard that the previous meeting between Aaron Anderson and Edgar Bronfman Jr. was not very harmonious. Now, Mr. Michael Ovitz, the chairman of CAA, is also somewhat helpless. Michael Eisner stood up and said, "When you get back to Los Angeles, please arrange a meeting with Michael Ovitz for me. Without MCA Universal, he has no way out." Chapter 330 is indeed exciting. 1995, the Houston Rockets and the Portland Trail Blazers reached a blockbuster trade. The Rockets traded Otis Thorpe, a 1995 first-round draft pick, and forward Marcelo Nicola to the Trail Blazers in exchange for veteran star guard Clyde Drexler and forward Tracy Murray. Thus, the Rockets acquired the combination of Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon and Clyde the Glider Drexler. Is Michael Jordan about to make a comeback? Jack Wells flipped through the Houston Post at the Compaq Center in Houston, which reported a photo of Michael Jordan training with the Chicago Bulls at the United Center. Aaron took a glance and said, "This guy joined the Chicago Barons, a minor league team of the Chicago White Sox. Baseball is not his world. The MLB league was shut down again last year. It's normal for him to want to return to the NBA now." Jack Wells lit a cigarette. "We just got Clyde Drexler. If Michael Jordan returns, it will have a significant impact on us, right?" Aaron stretched and said, "Who cares? This guy has been away from the NBA for a year and a half. It should take him a while to recover. We just won the first championship in team history last year. Let's work harder this year and strive to defend the title successfully." However, Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon are both old, and the Houston Rockets are also preparing to rebuild. Jack Wells glanced at Aaron. "How is the MCA acquisition going?" Ronald Mayer informed me that Michael Ovitz met with Michael Eisner again to discuss his joining Disney, and there seems to be significant progress this time. Aaron shrugged. "Panasonic is very likely to accept the terms. I doubt the Seagram Group will recklessly raise the price. HMPH, you know what Jews are like." Jack Wells smiled and nodded. "Then I'm relieved. If the Bronfmans dare to use any shady tactics, our angel company will definitely teach the Bronfmans a lesson they'll never forget." That evening, at an upscale nightclub in Houston, Aaron sat on the sofa with Salma Hayek in his arms, enjoying the performance and taking in the passion of this sexy Mexican woman. "Aaron, you haven't seen me in a long time." Salma Hayek's 30-60 body pressed against the man's body, and she lifted her lips to kiss him. Aaron smiled and reached out to stroke the plump body of the girl in his arms. "Aren't you busy? What about you? I heard that you joined a new film by Quentin Tarantino." Salma Hayek nodded. "After the release of Ace Ventura starring me last year, I joined the action crime film Three Killings by new director Robert Rodriguez. It's a story about Mexican gangs, and the leading actor of the movie is the Spanish actor Antonio Banderas. He had guest appearances in Dawn's Philadelphia Story and Interview with a Vampire before." Antonio Banderas, if Aaron remembered correctly, was the leading actor in The Mask of Zorro in his previous life. Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino styles mesh perfectly. They quickly became close friends. The film I'm starring in, Four Rooms, is a compilation of 4 short films directed by Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, and others. Bruce Willis, Madonna Ciccone, Antonio Banderas, and others will all star in Four Rooms. Four Rooms is also a low-budget independent film, financed by Twilight Pictures and distributed in North America. Of course, Aaron wouldn't have been interested in a film of this caliber if it weren't for Quentin Tarantino. Twilight wouldn't have invested. After all, the success of Pulp Fiction is undeniable. The Oscar nominations banquet will be held at the Samuel Goldwyn Theater in Beverly Hills in the coming days. Pulp Fiction is certain to be nominated for a prestigious Oscar, and its North American box office has already surpassed $80 million. Aaron stroked the woman's hair. "I see. Mexican-themed work is definitely for you. You'll be even more famous after Bad Boys comes out." Bad Boys opens in April, starring Salma Hayek. It's a thrilling car race, gunfights, and a sizzling Latina. Salma Hayek smiled and leaned in front of Aaron. I have you to thank for all this. You gave me the opportunity. Now I'm the leading lady in a Hollywood movie. Opportunities for Mexicans in Hollywood are very limited, especially for female stars. For someone like Salma Hayek, if she hadn't met Aaron Anderson, even if she wanted to be seduced, she wouldn't have had any luck. Aaron lifted the woman's chin. You're the sexiest Mexican beauty. A body like that always attracts men. Salma Hayek kissed the man on the lips, pulling his hand over her 30-60 breasts. Their lips and tongues entwined in a passionate embrace. In the parking lot outside the nightclub, Aaron leaned back in his car seat, breathing rapidly, his hands caressing the girl's hair. Suddenly, there was a knock on the car window. Startled, Salma Hayek was about to look up when she heard a man's voice. Keep going. Aaron reached out, pulled a pistol from the car, and rolled down the window. Dude, be nice and give me your money. Outside the car window, a thin white man stared into the car, threatening to rip him off. But before he could fully grasp the erotic scene inside, he saw a pitch-black gun pointed directly at him. Fuck, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Aaron squinted, pointing his gun at the man, who was clearly high. No, nothing. The white man in front of the car window immediately raised his hands and slowly backed away. I didn't say anything. It was an accident, Aaron muttered. Get out, I'm leaving now. The white man quickly backed away, staring at the pistol, then quickly turned and ran away. Aaron then dropped the gun and continued to enjoy the girl's service. After an indeterminate amount of time, Aaron let out a long sigh. A moment later, Salma Hayek also looked up, panting. That almost scared me just now. I didn't expect it to be so exciting. Salma Hayek wiped her mouth and leaned into the man's arms, seeming to be still frightened. Aaron smiled and stroked the man's unbuttoned shirt. It was indeed quite exciting, since I'd run into an addict. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331: The Man Who Changed the Profit-Sharing Model. With the announcement of the nominations for the 67th Academy Awards, the highly anticipated film Forrest Gump leads the pack with 13 nominations, followed closely by Pulp Fiction and The Shawshank Redemption with 7 nominations each. Despite its relatively low Golden Globe fame, The Shawshank Redemption received 7 Oscar nominations, a welcome relief for its director, Frank Darabont. At the Sunset Marcus Hotel in West Hollywood, Forrest Gump director Robert Zemeckis, along with cast members Tom Hanks and Elizabeth Hurley, and Winston Groom, the author of the original novel, attended a banquet. Aaron Anderson, who had returned to Los Angeles from Houston, also made a special visit. When Winston Groom published the novel, Forrest Gump, it had a circulation of only 40,000 copies. However, with the release of the film, the novel's circulation has surpassed 1.7 million. Forrest Gump is undoubtedly a classic film, boasting superb performances and unforgettable scenes. It touches upon drama, comedy, romance, and even war, with kindness and love being prominent themes throughout the film. The film's success stems primarily from its portrayal of the American dream, the idea that anyone can achieve their dreams through hard work. Forrest Gump embodies the direction of mainstream American culture, representing passion, honesty, sincerity, optimism, and self-confidence. Congratulations, Robert. This Forrest Gump is an absolute classic. Aaron clinked his glasses with director Robert Zemeckis. Thank you, Aaron, Zemeckis smiled. Without your support, this Forrest Gump wouldn't have been as successful as it is. The filming of Forrest Gump cost $60 million. For a project that many studios were skeptical of, Xu Guang's attitude was crucial. Otherwise, both Zemeckis and lead actor Tom Hanks would have invested their own salaries in the project. Aaron shook his head. Forrest Gump's success is largely due to everyone's hard work. Forrest Gump was released last year, coinciding with the U.S. congressional elections. The film didn't indirectly engage with the political and cultural realities of American society, but directly engaged with the political parties and politics within it. The film was enthusiastically embraced by the right-wing Republican Party, helping the party win a significant number of votes. Some time ago, Forrest Gump was also named one of the 100 greatest conservative films in American history. After chatting with Robert Zemeckis, Aaron returned to Tom Hanks. Their collaboration had been flawless since Philadelphia. Tom, if nothing unexpected happens, you're going to win the Best Actor Oscar again. Aaron offered his congratulations in advance. Last year's Philadelphia had won him his first Best Actor Oscar, and this year's Forrest Gump was even more impressive. Tom Hanks smiled and hugged Aaron. Looks like I'll have to keep working with Shugwang. It's great to be a part of such a great project. Aaron smiled. Your voice acting in the animated feature film Toy Story was also fantastic. It's coming out next month. I'm very confident. Tom Hanks blinked. Toy Story is my first animated feature film, and I really enjoy it. By the way, I heard you're planning on directing a movie, Aaron suddenly asked. Tom Hanks had just filmed Apollo 13 last year and didn't have any other projects lined up. Yes, I'm thinking of branching out into new territory. I'm planning to write, direct, and star in a musical comedy, Unstoppable Miracles. It's about a fictional rock band in the 1960s that rises to fame and then disappears. Tom Hanks is a true filmmaker who has transitioned from acting to directing. Just like actor Tim Robbins, who wrote, directed, and starred in Bob Roberts 3 years ago and is now directing his second film, A Man Walking. That's great. Have you settled on investors and distributors? Regardless, Aaron, while not particularly concerned about Tom Hanks' directorial debut, had his own perspective. It's being distributed by 20th Century Fox. The budget isn't high, it's a low-budget musical comedy. Tom Hanks might be a big name, but his directorial debut certainly wouldn't have a huge budget, so finding a distributor wouldn't be difficult. If nothing goes wrong, Unstoppable will start filming this summer. Aaron nodded and smiled. That's great since we've got a distributor. Crescent Films and Twilight Pictures, both under Dawning, have always been supportive of independent films. Then, Aaron patted Tom Hanks on the shoulder and said, "We'll definitely continue collaborating on films in the future." Then, Dawning executive Don Steele came over and mentioned the new Cruise Wagner Productions film, Mission Impossible. Why, is this action blockbuster produced by Tom Cruise about to start filming? Aaron took a sip of his drink and sat down on the sofa with Don Steele. Don Steele smiled. The filming will officially start next month, and Paramount has offered very high conditions this time. Not only did they provide Tom Cruise with $75 million in filming funds, but they also gave him full authority to shoot the film. The important thing is, Tom Cruise is participating entirely as a producer this time, and has adopted a new salary-sharing model. He will share all the box office, videotape and TV broadcast revenues. Aaron nodded. Tom Cruise's $15 million salary for our Con Air is already one of the top incomes in Hollywood currently. It seems that this simple salary income is not enough to satisfy him. Don Steele and Aaron Anderson both knew what Tom Cruise's behavior represented. If Mission Impossible was a success, it would change the profit-sharing model between Hollywood actors and studios. As an actor, he would participate in the profit-sharing of the film on an equal footing with the studio. Don Steele lamented, "Tom Cruise's approach is a true pioneer. Now Hollywood's top male stars have their own new ideas about pay. Currently, the average salary for a top Hollywood actor is $15 million. You're talking about Jim Carrey, right? I heard he's in talks with Sony for a new film and wants $20 million. Chapter 332 He Hates Jews. Jim Carrey is currently filming the sequel to Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 2, earning a Hollywood-esque $15 million contract. But Carrey's popularity last year, fueled by the massive box office success of his low-budget, nonsensical comedies, has made him synonymous with box office success, effectively allowing him to command higher prices from studios. Tom Cruise and Jim Carrey are next, and next up are undoubtedly Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford, and others. Aaron, the cost of action movies has gone up a lot these days, Don Steele warned. Actor salaries and special effects costs are all skyrocketing. Aaron nodded. Electronic product manufacturers such as Sony, Panasonic, and Toshiba are focusing on the development of a new generation of video discs, DVDs. Compared to videotapes and VCRs, DVDs and DVD players are much cheaper. The home entertainment market will definitely usher in an explosion. You know China's VCD industry. It's developing very fast. DVD is the upgraded version of VCD. Oh, replacing VCRs. Don Steele was still very surprised. VCRs are basically standard equipment in American families now. If DVD players want to directly replace VCRs, they must at least promote DVDs first. It shouldn't be that fast, right? Aaron just smiled. The speed of upgrading the entertainment industry will be faster than we can imagine. Let's wait and see. By the way, is Panasonic still considering it? Aaron was asking about Sugan's acquisition of MCA Universal. It was already mid to late February. Don Steele sighed. It seems there's no news yet. Blackstone's representatives have also traveled to Japan. However, Edgar Bronfman Jr. of the Seagram Group seems to have been there as well. I'm sure there will be a response by the end of this month. After all, Aaron's ultimatum to Panasonic was before March. Don Steele had truly not expected Sugan to acquire MCA Universal. If successful, Sugan would become a top-tier global entertainment conglomerate, encompassing film, television, some TV stations, music, publishing, cinema chains, and movie theme park resorts. Aaron shrugged. Yoichi Morishita will make the right choice. Besides, who knows how long Sony can hold out. With that, Aaron stood up, having spotted the alluring Elizabeth Hurley. Soon, Aaron and Elizabeth Hurley were in a suite on the top floor of the hotel. Aaron, are you going to be the owner of Universal Pictures soon? Elizabeth Hurley sat on Aaron's lap on the sofa and kissed him on the cheek. Who knows? Aaron smiled, rubbing the woman's thigh. Even if I weren't the owner of Universal Pictures, few in Hollywood would dare to disobey me. Of course, you have the final say in Hollywood now, Elizabeth Hurley said, stroking the back of Aaron's hand. Forrest Gump has a lot of nominations for the British Academy Film Awards, and the British Academy Film Awards ceremony will be in a few days. I guess not many crew members will be there. Aaron rubbed the woman's waist. You will probably go back to China to attend, right? Yes, I will be back in a few days and come to Los Angeles next month, Elizabeth Hurley said, kissing the man. Aaron returned the woman's passionate kiss, removing her evening gown and feeling her 36C. Well, Elizabeth Hurley immediately undressed Aaron and hugged the man tightly. The crew of Don's new film Men in Black has officially sent me a contract. I also met with director Barry Sonnenfeld 2 days ago, and he is revising the script. Aaron had previously asked Elizabeth Hurley to play the leading role in the crew of Men in Black. Director Barry Sonnenfeld's style is black gothic. This is not a problem for Elizabeth Hurley. Aaron, clinging to the woman's 36Cs, looked up and explained, Barry Sonnenfeld is currently filming MGM's Get Shorty, and my plan is to start shooting Men in Black this year. Aaron pushed Elizabeth Hurley onto the sofa and smiled. Your portrayal as a Bond girl in Goldeneye was truly remarkable. Really? Elizabeth Hurley caressed Aaron's chest and smiled. There's also the Dutch model Famke Janssen in it. She's stunning, and her figure is even more voluptuous. She plays a sexy female agent, and she's also a real eye-catcher, with long legs. Seeing Elizabeth Hurley's teasing expression, Aaron could only make his thoughts known through action. Soon, Elizabeth Hurley's sensual voice filled the room. Suddenly, Aaron's cell phone rang from beneath his coat, causing him to frown as he lay on top of the woman. Elizabeth Hurley hugged the man tightly and panted, Aaron, don't answer it. No, something important must have happened. After thinking for a moment, Aaron got up from the girl's body, sat on the sofa, took out the phone and answered it. Aaron, this is Winona. Where are you now? Can you come over? Aaron, who was leaning on the sofa, heard Winona Ryder crying on the phone and asked hurriedly, what's wrong? Hiss. Aaron suddenly breathed a cold breath, and saw Elizabeth Hurley leaning over. Aaron immediately reached out and stroked Elizabeth Hurley's hair, then asked Winona Ryder on the phone, what happened? Because I was nominated for a Best Actress Oscar for my role in Little Women, I went to a party with some friends. At the party, I met action star Mel Gibson, and he told me that all Jews should be incinerated. He also called me and my female friends names, saying we were gay. Hearing Winona Ryder's choked sobs, Aaron finally understood. Mel Gibson, this guy really doesn't like Jews. Okay, Aaron didn't like them either, but for someone like Winona Ryder, who was of Jewish descent but didn't practice Judaism, it was par for the course. Where are you now? I'm home, at my villa in West Hollywood. Can you come and stay with me? Sure, I'll be right there, thank you. Aaron put down his phone and continued to enjoy Elizabeth Hurley's care. Honey, I have to leave now. I'll talk to you later. Chapter 333 He has many women. After leaving the Sunset Marcus, Aaron drove to Winona Ryder's villa nestled in the hillside of West Hollywood. Aaron, Winona Ryder said, seemingly finding her composure upon seeing the man. She immediately embraced him. What's wrong? Are you okay? Aaron hugged the woman and sat on the sofa, anger evident on her delicate face. It's okay, Winona Ryder said, eagerly kissing him on the mouth. Okay, Okay, tell me what happened. After a few moments of affectionate embrace, Aaron asked for details. My friend is a designer, and he's openly gay, and I have Jewish ancestry, and Mel Gibson mocked us for being gay and Jewish. Winona Ryder was now a famous Hollywood actress, but she was still far from an action star like Mel Gibson. Faced with Mel Gibson's ridicule, she could only argue briefly. There was nothing else she could do. Aaron leaned back on the sofa and patted Winona Ryder on his body. Mel Gibson, this guy is a conservative right-winger, a white supremacist, misogyny, discrimination against homosexuals, hatred of Jews and people of color, extreme Catholic. However, Mel Gibson is just an actor. With Aaron's current status, he can certainly deal with him. What do you want to do? Winona Ryder shook her head. He is so rude. He insulted women and should apologize. Then, Aaron lowered his head and kissed the girl on the face. Don't worry, I will let him apologize to you in person. By the way, did he say anything else insulting to you? Winona Ryder glanced at Aaron. Not really. He is also a big star in Hollywood and will not say anything in public. Just now at the banquet, Mel Gibson was obviously drunk. Aaron touched the girl's face. You should have a good rest first. Let me take care of the rest. After all, Winona Ryder is also the woman who has slept with him many times. Aaron can certainly help her with this little thing. Well, it's nothing, actually. Winona Ryder leaned on Aaron's shoulder. Just think of it as Mel Gibson being drunk and talking nonsense. Aaron smiled and reached out to rub Winona Ryder's back. It's okay, leave it to me, but congratulations on your Oscar nomination for Best Actress for Little Women. For 24-year-old Winona Ryder, receiving an Oscar nomination for Best Actress is truly remarkable. Just look at the glory Robert Downey Jr. received last year after receiving a Best Actor nomination for his role in Chaplin. Of course, Little Women is also Winona Ryder's first Oscar nomination. Winona Ryder already won the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress last year for The Age of Innocence, her first major acting award. She's been nominated for Best Actress in a drama series twice before, but this year's Best Actress nomination is even more validation of her acting skills. Winona Ryder smiled and said, I'm also very happy to be nominated for the Best Actress Oscar, but the 1994 Oscar should be won by Forrest Gump. At the same time, Little Women earned $50 million at the box office, which is not low. After all, it is just a low-budget art film. Aaron, I'm going to take a shower first, Winona Ryder said, kissed the man, and stood up. Aaron nodded and patted the girl's buttocks. The next day, ICM Agency. In the office of CEO Jeffrey Berg, Jeffrey Berg put down the phone while sitting on the sofa. After a while, Nancy Josephson knocked on the door and came into the office. Seeing Jeffrey Berg's face was ashen. What's the matter, Mr. Berg? Jeffrey Berg sighed. Aaron Anderson just called me about Mel Gibson. It's a call from Aaron Anderson. Does he have a project that requires Mel Gibson? Nancy Josephson pondered, but we are currently helping Mel Gibson contact Disney's remake project Ransom. Sony seems to be ready to agree to pay Jim Carrey $20 million. We have every reason to get $20 million for Mel Gibson as well. Jeffrey Berg spoke. At a banquet last night, Mel Gibson and Winona Ryder had some conflicts. As Jeffrey Berg spoke, Nancy Josephson was silent. No wonder Jeffrey Berg was angry. Jeffrey Berg was a real Jew, and his bloodline was much purer than Winona Ryder. Of course, not many Jews these days care about ancestry. If Jewish identity can bring benefits, they will acknowledge it. Is Winona Ryder's relationship with Aaron Anderson close? Jeffrey Berg actually doesn't care much about Jewish identity, he cares about benefits. Mel Gibson and Arnold Schwarzenegger are ICM's absolute trump cards now, but if Aaron Anderson is really angered, the consequences will be serious. Nancy Josephson shook her head, looking helpless. Aaron Anderson is very romantic. He has many women. Obviously, Winona Ryder also has a relationship with him. Aaron, what does he want us to do? Jeffrey Berg spread his hands. He means that Mel Gibson should apologize to Winona Ryder in person. If we can't do it, he will do it himself. Nancy Josephson frowned. The Sugan Group, which Aaron Anderson is in charge of, is now the most powerful in Hollywood. Especially now that the Sugan Group is acquiring Panasonic's MCA Universal, Aaron Anderson will become the world's top media tycoon. No matter how great Mel Gibson is, he is just an actor. He certainly can't compete with Aaron's Sugan Group. Moreover, if ICM doesn't handle it well, it may affect the relationship between the two parties, which will really be a loss. Apologize. A young and energetic guy like Aaron is capable of anything. Nancy Josephson shook her head. If it affects our relationship with Dawn, it will be even worse. Jeffrey Berg nodded. Let's go to Gibson's house. He glanced at his watch. At this hour, Mel Gibson is probably still hungover. Nancy Josephson stood up. I'll arrange a car. Chapter 334. It's not difficult to ban you. At night, in a suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Mel Gibson apologized sincerely to Winona Ryder. I'm sorry, Winona. I had a few too many drinks last night and said some unkind things. I hope you can forgive me. Mel Gibson apologized sincerely to Winona Ryder. Yes, I accept your apology. Aaron sat on a nearby sofa, looking at Nancy Josephson and Jeffrey Berg, who had accompanied Mel Gibson. It seemed that ICM truly valued Mel Gibson. A short while later, Nancy Josephson and Mel Gibson left the hotel. Aaron, ICM has several packaged projects in the works. If Winona is interested, she can participate, Jeffrey Berg said to Aaron with a smile. Aaron looked at the night view of Los Angeles in the distance and said, I heard that you are trying to get a $20 million salary for Mel Gibson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Eddie Murphy and others, right? ICM is negotiating with the two studios for the salary of the Warner Brothers project Vanadian, in which Arnold Schwarzenegger participated, and the Disney project Ransom starring Mel Gibson. Jeffrey Berg spread his hands. CAA helped Jim Carrey get started. Our people are no worse than Jim Carrey, Aaron smiled. Sony always does things like this. By the way, there seems to be a problem at Carlock Films, Jeffrey Berg nodded. Yes, there's a $55 million debt coming due, and they can't even pay the interest. The project of Cutthroat Island is seriously over budget and has become a joke in Hollywood. Mario Casal is now unable to raise funds. Carlock, I think they will file for bankruptcy protection soon. Jeffrey Berg looked at Aaron. Are you interested in Carlock? Sue Guang previously acquired the film libraries of Samuel Gwyn and Orion Films. Could they also be interested in Carlock's library? The RoboCop series, Total Recall and Basic Instincts are all works owned by Carlock. Aaron smiled. Croc's most important asset right now is nothing less than Terminator 3. After all, Terminator 2, Judgment Day grossed $500 million worldwide, and James Cameron is interested in making Terminator 3, but Carlock doesn't have the money right now, and James Cameron seems preoccupied with his own affairs. The rights to Terminator 3 are definitely a hot commodity, but Carlock knows that. Carlock's creditors also know it won't be easy to acquire Terminator 3. Jeffrey Berg understood this, and Aaron Anderson certainly understood it too. Perhaps we can only wait until Carlock goes bankrupt and negotiate with a bank. Aaron knew Jeffrey Berg had no other options. If he intervened in Carlock's film now, the other party would definitely demand a high price. After the two chatted for a while, Jeffrey Berg also left the hotel. The Mel Gibson incident was just a minor incident. Aaron, thank you. Winona Ryder walked over and kissed the man on the cheek. Aaron patted the girl and said, it's just a small matter. No matter what you say, you are my woman. Then, Aaron hugged Winona Ryder and walked to the window, and the night view of Los Angeles came into view. Is the filming of Love Weaving Dreams completed? Aaron asked. It's completed. It's a low-cost love movie and it didn't take long to shoot, Winona Ryder responded while leaning on the man's arms. Well, you have been nominated for the Best Actress Oscar this time. I believe there will be more scripts in front of you. Try to choose commercial films, Aaron said, lowering his head and kissing Winona on the face. I know. Winona Ryder's breathing became heavier, and she raised her head and kissed the man passionately. Well, Aaron responded enthusiastically, while taking off the girl's clothes. If Mel Gibson messes with you again, you must tell me, but I believe he won't dare to do it again. Knowing that you and I have a close relationship, he should not have the courage to provoke you. Winona Ryder smiled and gasped. ICM will not let him do anything wrong. Just now, she saw very clearly what the attitudes of ICM senior executives Jeffrey Berg and Nancy Josephson were towards Aaron Anderson. All this was due to the dominance of Dawn Films. Meanwhile, Mel Gibson, who had left with Nancy Josephson, was in a terrible mood. He kept complaining all the way. I just climbed into Aaron Anderson's bed, and you want me to apologize to a junior? Nancy Josephson held her forward and reminded her, that's Aaron Anderson, the most successful producer in Hollywood in recent years, bar none. You've seen the growth of Dawn, and Dawn Group will soon become the parent company of MCA Universal. By then, Aaron Anderson will be the owner of a major media conglomerate encompassing film, television, music, publishing, cinema chains, newspapers, theme parks, and resorts, his status will also rise, and with his connections and resources in Washington, D.C., and Wall Street. How difficult do you think it would be to ban a Hollywood star? Nancy Josephson's father was the founder of ICM and managed Josephson Capital. He knew more about this sort of thing than the actors in Hollywood. Mel Gibson fell silent. Although he had a short temper, he was definitely not stupid. As a top Hollywood star, he's unattainable to many, but to the Hollywood capital behind the scenes, he's just a small-time figure. His value lies primarily in the profits he can generate for the capital giants behind the scenes, but if he offends the capital, trouble is sure to come. After returning to Mel Gibson's villa on Malibu Beach, Nancy Josephson couldn't help but remind him, "Your drinking is getting worse. If you keep going like this, you're going to get into trouble." Mel Gibson got out of the car and simply waved his hand. "Okay, I know all this. I can control myself. Remember, your priority right now is negotiating with Disney. A clown who plays a comedic role can get $20 million. Am I worse than a clown?" Ever since the newspapers reported that Jim Carrey demanded $20 million from Sony, Hollywood's top male stars have been collectively on edge, determined to secure a high salary. Chapter 335 Universal Movies. 1995, Panasonic and Akebano announce in Japan and the United States, respectively. Akebano would acquire MCA for $7.2 billion in a cash and stock deal. Akebano paid Panasonic $5.8 billion in cash, plus a 10% stake in new Akebano, to acquire MCA Universal. Aaron Anderson and Yoichi Morishita officially signed the acquisition contract at Universal's headquarters in Universal City Plaza, Hollywood, Los Angeles. Congratulations, Aaron. Akebano will definitely reach new heights with the acquisition of MCA. Morishita shook Aaron's hand, his tone resigned. The losses Panasonic had incurred during its years of operating MCA underscored its failure. Aaron nodded, smiling, ignoring the cameras of the surrounding reporters. At least Panasonic hasn't completely withdrawn from Hollywood. We can still have a share of the future entertainment industry. However, even though Panasonic now owns 10% of new Akebano, Aaron's plans are far from over. New acquisitions are bound to continue, and Panasonic's stake will inevitably be diluted. With Sugin's official acquisition of MCA, the new Sugin Group became a top global entertainment conglomerate valued at over $15 billion. Investors included Franklin Templeton, Blackstone, Fidelity Investments, Vanguard, Merrill Lynch, and Deutsche Bank, contributing $5.8 billion. At Sugin's headquarters in Burbank, "Congratulations, Aaron," Peter Peterson shook Aaron's hand. "Well, it's all thanks to you." After discussions, Aaron now holds 62% of the new Sugin shares. Besides the equity pool, the remaining shares are held by Panasonic and other banks and funds. Investors, led by Charles Johnson, head of Franklin Templeton, also became official Sugin shareholders. Peter Peterson smiled. Of course, the next day, Aaron led Sugin's executives to Universal City Hollywood, the headquarters of Universal Pictures. They met with MCA President Sidney Sheinberg, CEO Lou Wasserman, and Universal Pictures President of Production, Tom Pollock. "I can't believe you've actually acquired MCA," Lou Wasserman sighed. "Are you going to reorganize MCA next?" Aaron nodded. "A complete reorganization, a complete reintegration, a new emperor chooses his own ministers." Lou Wasserman, Sidney Sheinberg, Tom Pollock, and others weren't what Aaron needed. Lou Wasserman smiled. "Sidney invited me to form an independent production company, but I declined. I'm old now, and I've dedicated everything to MCA. Then it's up to you," Aaron said expressionlessly. MCA will be split up and reorganized to form Universal Pictures Group and Universal Music Group. Dawn Pictures will be merged into Universal Pictures, Universal Music Group. Lou Wasserman's body trembled. What about MCA? Become a label under Universal Music Group. The implication was that MCA's mission was accomplished, and its future would be Universal Music. When Panasonic acquired MCA, it had given Lou Wasserman a lifetime contract. Now, Aaron was directly restructuring Universal Music, reducing MCA to a record label subsidiary. The message was clear: the new Sugin Group no longer needed Lou Wasserman. If he wanted to, he'd have to manage a record company. In Burbank, at Disney headquarters, Michael Eisner sat in his office, watching the news on TV. Aaron Anderson had acquired MCA Universal, and Sugin Group was prospering. It had become the fourth-largest entertainment conglomerate after Time Warner, Viacom, and Disney, even surpassing News Corporation in size. "So, have you made up your mind?" Michael Eisner turned off the TV and asked Michael Ovitz across from him. Seagram's acquisition of MCA had failed, and Michael Ovitz's dream was shattered. Joining Disney might be his last resort. Michael Ovitz sighed, "Let me finish up CAA." Soon after acquiring MCA Group, Dawn began a split and reorganization. MCA Music was reorganized into Universal Music Group, Dawn Pictures was merged into Universal Pictures, MCA Home Entertainment was reorganized into Universal Home Entertainment, and MCA Television was merged into Dawn Television Group. Meanwhile, Universal withdrew from its partnership with Paramount, United International Pictures, UIP, to form Dawn Universal International Pictures, UPI. Sidney Sheinberg and Tom Pollock left Universal, and Lou Wasserman became a consultant to Universal Music Group, completely marginalized. Dawn initiated layoffs, with over 800 employees facing job losses. Aaron, convinced that short-term pain was better than long-term pain, integrated MCA Universal with forceful and ruthless measures, shocking the entire Hollywood. Don Steele assumed the role of president of Universal Pictures, responsible for production operations, while Tom Rothman, as co-president, oversaw the restructuring and redevelopment of Universal Home Entertainment and Universal International. Brad Gray oversaw the distribution of the new Universal Pictures. Furthermore, due to Aaron's extreme dissatisfaction with Universal's film projects, all of Universal's current projects were put on hold pending Aaron's reassessment. In late March, the 67th Academy Awards were held at the iconic Los Angeles Auditorium. However, due to Sugan Group's dramatic actions, employees facing layoff staged a massive protest outside Universal City. In Steven Spielberg's plush office in Universal City, Jeffrey Katzenberg stood outside the window, gazing at the crowd below. "Ah, young people are so impatient," Spielberg shook his head and sighed. "Thousands of people are going to lose their jobs." Not only that, Aaron has also ordered the suspension of all Universal's projects in development. "I wonder how many more will disappear." Jeffrey Katzenberg turned his head. "Aaron's move is too big. It'll probably take a year to fully integrate Universal." "Yes, but Aaron's confidence is the Suzuki project. He can definitely support it," Spielberg said, unfazed. Of course, many of Universal's ongoing projects can't compare to Suzuki's. With Suzuki's foundation, Universal's chaos is only temporary. "Isn't Aaron in Universal City?" Jeffrey Katzenberg inquired. Steven Spielberg shook his head. "He's not at Dawn's headquarters in Burbank. I heard he's been staying in New York." Jeffrey Katzenberg smiled. "You're not going to attend tonight's Oscars?" Steven Spielberg shrugged. "What's the suspense tonight? Forrest Gump has such a huge advantage. Besides, would he care about an Oscar?" Chapter 336 is The World in Chaos. New York, Manhattan, Rockefeller Center. Aaron sat in his Universal Studios office chair, flipping through the projects he was working on. He rubbed his eyes and said, "What a mess." He casually threw down a script. Paying $17.5 million for Sylvester Stallone to star in a disaster action movie, that's just rubbish. The script, the 1980s, directed by Rob Cohen and starring Sylvester Stallone, tells the story of an underwater tunnel connecting Manhattan and New Jersey that is blocked by an explosion, trapping citizens. Stallone plays a former lifeguard captain who single-handedly risks his life to enter the tunnel and save them. "Boss, are you canceling this project too?" Thurene Beckett asked. The film was in pre-production, with a budget of $80 million. Stallone's salary would be $17.5 million. "Get out of this project." Sylvester Stallone's last year's The Expert received rave reviews, and now The Hour is even more chaotic. Aaron pulled the plug without hesitation. He'd already spent millions on the script, wondering if any studio would take it. Director Rob Cohen was currently filming the fantasy adventure Heart of the Dragon for Universal, and was about to wrap up filming. Unexpectedly, his next film was already in the works. Aaron then pitched another project, Gas Chambers, based on the novel of the same name by author John Grisham. John Grisham, author of novels like The Pelicans and The Trap, was undoubtedly talented. Universal had spent $4 million to acquire the rights to Gas Chambers, and also paid William Goldman another $1 million to adapt it. Ron Howard, the original director, left to direct Disney's Ransom, and Brad Pitt, the original lead, also left, so Universal brought in the little-known James Foley and Chris O'Donnell as the lead. Aaron shook his head again. It's come to this, and they're still trying to force things, put Gas Chamber on hold. John Grisham's novel isn't something an average director can handle. Let's choose a new director, Esther Beckett nodded. Understood. At the same time, she was secretly horrified. The boss could decide the fate of a film with just a word. However, many projects take years of preparation before they're even approved. What would those people think when they heard Universal was canceling a project? All right, you can leave, Aaron said, waving his hand. Universal Pictures released a lot of films every year, its own productions, its own investments, and so on, covering all genres. Next, Aaron would definitely reduce the number of films released each year. Quality, not quantity, is key. Universal also has several blockbuster releases this summer, including the fantasy film Gremlins, produced by Spielberg's Amblin Films, the documentary Apollo 13, directed by Ron Howard and starring Tom Hanks, and Waterworld, starring Kevin Costner. With the 67th Academy Awards ceremony successfully concluded, Forrest Gump unsurprisingly emerged as the night's biggest winner, taking home 6 awards, including Best Picture, Director, Actor, and Best Adapted Work. Pulp Fiction won Best Original Screenplay, and Legends of the Fallen won Best Cinematography. The Shawshank Redemption, long considered by Aaron Kwok to be a critical darling, failed to secure a single award, but at least after a second screening, it grossed $27 million. In a Manhattan villa on the Upper East Side, Aaron rolled off Nicole Kidman and caressed her breasts. Why? Aren't you filming The Last Dance? Nicole Kidman panted, looking at the man beside her. I missed you. Don't you want me to come see you? She ruffled Aaron's hair. You've been so popular lately. All of Hollywood is talking about you. It's okay. Universal has a lot of problems anyway. It's going to be hard to fix them without 6 months or a year. Aaron rested his hands on his head, his thoughts racing. Nicole Kidman leaned against the man's chest. At last night's Oscars, Dawn was the biggest winner again, but the only downside is that there were protests at Universal City, at Dawn headquarters in Burbank, and outside the Oscars. Aaron frowned. Whatever. Aren't they just the people who are going to be laid off? The merger of Dawn and Universal meant layoffs in the film business, and even Jesus couldn't stop it. Nicole Kidman smiled. I know you're not worried about that, but there's a lot of dissenting opinions in the newspapers about your approach to Universal. You canceled so many Universal projects all at once, Aaron scoffed. They're just some money-losing projects. Sugan isn't Panasonic. How can I be manipulated by these guys? As soon as he took over Universal, Aaron immediately swept up all the top executives at MCA. Whether Universal was in chaos or not, Aaron wasn't the least bit worried. Sugan was his foundation. Universal could halt all its projects, so who'd dare object? Last year, Sugan was the #1 film studio in Hollywood in North American box office market share. I know you're amazing, Nicole Kidman said, nuzzling into Aaron's body. You're getting even more powerful now. You've acquired Universal, one of the 6 major film studios. What's next? Next? Sugan will definitely expand into the television business, Aaron pondered, reaching out to caress the girl's delicate body. Of course, it's the television network. Time Warner originally wanted to sell its stake in TBS, but now there's news that Time Warner plans to acquire TBS Group directly. CNN, owned by TBS, is the largest news station, surpassing the 4 major terrestrial broadcast networks. ABC is the second largest network, and Disney is fully committed to acquiring the Metropolitan ABC Group. Westinghouse Electric is in talks with Lowe's to acquire CBS. NBC is owned by General Electric, the largest publicly traded company in the United States, while Fox, the youngest, is part of Fox Entertainment, a subsidiary of News Corporation. Dawn currently only owns AMC Cable and 50% of USA Cable, but it doesn't have its own news station. Without its own news station, it's not a top-tier media conglomerate. Are you going to emulate News Corporation? Mr. Murdoch is also aggressively developing his television business. With that, Nicole Kidman slid into bed. Aaron said, closing his eyes and letting Nicole Kidman do what she wanted. Chapter 337 Petite Beauty. With Sugan's acquisition of MCA Universal, Universal Pictures naturally inherited Universal Pictures membership in the MPAA. Bad Boys, the action comedy film directed by Michael Bay and starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, opened to $15.5 million in its first 3 days. Bay's debut film showcases his unique directing style through its dramatic action sequences and accompanying score. The Houston Post commented, "Bad Boys' greatest strength is its seamless blend of thrilling action and comedy." The Los Angeles Times commented, "A decent popcorn movie." Last year, Forrest Gump grossed $330 million in North America and $670 million worldwide. Disney's The Lion King grossed $310 million in North America and $770 million worldwide. Meanwhile, Pulp Fiction grossed $100 million in North America and $210 million worldwide. Legends of the Fallen grossed $66 million in North America and $160 million worldwide. At the Midtown Club Hotel in Manhattan, Aaron brought Nicole Kidman to meet with director Michael Bay. Bad Boys is performing very well. As expected, it'll easily gross over $50 million in North America. Aaron and Bay clinked their glasses. After all, the film only cost $23 million to produce, the script alone cost $4 million, and filming only $19 million. With a new director and cast, their salaries were very low. It was impressive that Michael Bay could achieve such a high quality with such a limited budget. "Thank you," Bay reminded Aaron with a smile. "Preparations for The Rock are almost complete, but we still have one major role to be confirmed." Aaron nodded. Michael Bay's performance in Bad Boys had already proven his ability in action films. The Rock was already a blockbuster. Let's use Nicolas Cage. He just did the arthouse film, Leaving Las Vegas. He was really good in the sequel Red Dragon last year. Aaron had always been optimistic about Nicolas Cage. Michael Bay agreed, saying, "His performance in Phone Booth was very moving. He's a great actor." Later, Nicole Kidman recommended her friend Naomi Watts for the role of The Rock. With that, the main cast of The Rock, including Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, and Ed Harris, was confirmed. After Michael Bay left, Aaron took in Naomi Watts. Her deep, sapphire eyes, pointed chin, high nose bridge, and sweet smile. Naomi Watts, with her blonde hair, looked at Aaron nervously. "Mr. Anderson, thank you for the opportunity." Aaron had indeed guessed that she was Nicole Kidman's friend. "Well, Nicole told me you started your acting career in Australia?" Aaron asked, leaning back on the sofa and taking a sip from his glass of wine. "Yes, I was born in England and moved to Australia with my parents when I was a teenager. I later worked as a model in Japan, then I returned to Australia to start acting. I worked on a project with Nicole a few years ago." Naomi Watts is a year younger than Nicole Kidman, so they're the same age. Compared to the taller Nicole Kidman, she looks much smaller. "Okay, Naomi. It's going to be a little difficult coming to Hollywood. The Rock is an action-packed movie, so it'll be helpful." Nicole Kidman smiled and poured Naomi Watts a glass of wine. "Well, thank you, Nicole." Naomi Watts thanked her sincerely. After all, she was unfamiliar with Hollywood. Besides, she was already 27, not young at all, and her Australian projects hadn't made much of a splash. The real reason she decided to stay in Hollywood was because she had just starred in the Hollywood production Tank Girl. That evening, Aaron and Nicole Kidman returned to their Upper East Side villa together. In the bathtub, Nicole Kidman, with a rosy face, lay in Aaron's arms. "Well, what do you think of Naomi Watts?" Aaron shook his head and stroked the girl's soft body. "Well, what do you mean by that? I haven't seen any of her work." In his impression, Naomi Watts seemed to be a scream queen, and she was deeply remembered for the American version of the Ring series and the monster movie King Kong. Nicole Kidman smiled and kissed Aaron on the mouth. "I'm asking you, do you have any feelings for Naomi Watts? She is beautiful and has a good figure. Don't you have any thoughts? After all, she can't do anything to repay you." Aaron was stunned for a moment and shrugged. "Isn't she your friend? Besides, she can't compare with you in any way." As he said that, Aaron reached out and touched Nicole Kidman's face, and then stroked her white and smooth skin. "Don't you agree, Nicole?" Nicole Kidman rolled her eyes and leaned into the man's arms. "Don't I know you? How many women have you had? I don't even know yourself, do you? Besides, I don't care how many women you have out there. I just hope you don't get tired of me." Aaron Anderson, a young, handsome, and wealthy Hollywood talent, was absolutely irresistible to a Hollywood woman like Nicole Kidman. Hollywood is a brutal place, and a beautiful woman like Nicole Kidman would be unable to survive without support. Aaron took a deep breath. "Don't worry, we've known each other for years. You're mine." Flirtatious, Nicole Kidman said, and she pressed her lips against Aaron's, their tongues entwined in a fiery passion. Meanwhile, Dawn's first animated feature, Toy Story, was in full swing. Toy Story was not only Dawn Pixar's first animated feature, but also the first 3D animation created entirely with computer graphics. In addition to Aaron Anderson, who naturally attaches great importance to Toy Story, there are also Roy Disney and Peter Schneider, the heads of Disney Animation, plus Jeffrey Katzenberg of DreamWorks SKG also attaches great importance to Pixar's first animated work Toy Story. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 Spin-off and Integration. Los Angeles, West Hollywood, Angel Theater. Jack Wells leaned back in his chair, puffing smoke rings, and looked at Aaron on the sofa beside him. Have all the protesters been dealt with? Otherwise, it's just layoffs. What's the big deal? Aaron didn't worry about such things. Protests and demonstrations were trivial matters. By the way, Michael Jordan has been back with the Bulls for 2 weeks now. NBA ratings should have seen a significant increase, right? Jack Wells nodded. Of course, the effect is still obvious, but the Rockets' performance this season is average. The Rockets' win percentage is similar to the Bulls in the East. Currently, with the San Antonio Spurs and Utah Jazz dominating the West, the Eastern Conference leaders, the Orlando Magic, would only rank 4th or 5th in the West. Aaron stood up and stretched. As long as we make the playoffs, it's all good. Houston's Dawn Arena is almost finished, right? Yes, it officially opens in the second half of the year, and the Rockets can move into their new arena next season, Jack Wells said, looking at Aaron. I heard you're worried about Universal Studios Osaka in Japan. There are only 2 Universal Studios locations now, Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Orlando in Florida. Yes, Panasonic wasn't interested in building one in Osaka before, but I think it's possible. A Universal Studios in Osaka could definitely compete with Tokyo Disneyland. Of course, Aaron still needs to reclaim his other half of Universal Studios Orlando, which is now owned by British company Rank Films. With the release of Dawn, Pixar's first 3D computer animated feature film, Toy Story, it opened in 2,457 theaters in North America, grossing $29.14 million in its first weekend. Toy Story received widespread acclaim. As the world's first 3D animated film, its innovative technology and unique character design created a huge sensation. The Chicago Sun-Times, it draws upon the best of cartoons and reality to create a world somewhere in between. The New York Times, this Toy Story is a delight for all ages. Children will enjoy the novelty of the toys coming to life, while adults will marvel at the witty script and anthropomorphic characters. The Washington Post, although Toy Story has been widely praised for its 3D animation, this animation remains equally strong in plot, character development, and excellent pacing. At Disney headquarters in Burbank, Michael Eisner visited the Disney Animation department to meet with Roy Disney and Peter Schneider. What do you think? Pixar's Toy Story has been a huge success, Michael Eisner said, already regretting his earlier decision to ignore it. Roy Disney waved his hand and said, animation should remain traditional and rely on hand drawing, rather than being produced by computer. That way, it will have no soul. The success of The Lion King can fully prove this point. Our Pocahontas will be released this summer. Our Disney animation is the real animation, Michael Eisner frowned. Don't underestimate Aaron Anderson. After acquiring MCA Universal, Dawning has all the conditions. Moreover, Dawning is preparing for an IPO. No one knows what big moves Aaron Anderson will make next, but I'm sure he will increase his investment in Universal Studios. Pixar's animated films plus Dawning's live-action films provide Universal Studios with considerable material. Peter Schneider on the side also spoke. Jeffrey Katzenberg has contacted many animators at DreamWorks SKG. Although Jeffrey Katzenberg was not popular within Disney before, the salary offered by DreamWorks SKG is much higher than ours. If this continues, I have a feeling a large number of animators will leave Disney for DreamWorks. Although Jeffrey Katzenberg wasn't known for his interpersonal skills, the success of Disney's animated films during his time leading Disney's production division was truly inseparable from his leadership. Furthermore, DreamWorks SKG now had investors in South Korea's CJ Group and Paul Allen, making them well-funded. Jeffrey Katzenberg was generous in poaching his former subordinates. Michael Eisner pondered, I'll leave this matter to the new Disney president. Who would be Disney's new president? Of course, Michael Ovitz. When Edgar Bronfman Jr. of Seagram's high-profile acquisition of MCA was announced, newspapers generally believed Michael Ovitz was the chosen manager. But now that Dawn has won, and Seagram's group and Edgar Bronfman Jr. remains silent, it seems there are no more obstacles for Michael Ovitz to join Disney. Michael Eisner doesn't have time to deal with these internal Disney matters. He's preoccupied with the acquisition of Metropolitan ABC Television Group. Meanwhile, in Century City, at Fox Entertainment's headquarters in Century Plaza, Rupert Murdoch and Fox Entertainment CEO Peter Chernin sat across from each other. What a promising young man, Rupert Murdoch put down his newspaper. Suzuki Group's valuation had already surpassed News Corporation. Once Suzuki Group went public, its market capitalization would be the fourth largest entertainment group in the world. By the way, with Carlock filing for bankruptcy protection, James Cameron's Terminator 3 shouldn't be cancelled, right? Rupert Murdoch had been busy developing the Fox broadcast network recently, such as establishing the Fox News cable network and the Fox Sports cable network. He had paid less attention to Fox Entertainment's film division, 20th Century Fox. Now that Suzuki had acquired Universal, he felt the pressure. Peter Chernin was somewhat frustrated. James mentioned this to us, but the price Carlock is asking is too high. Bill McNichol said that after Carlock officially goes bankrupt, we can negotiate directly with a bank to acquire Carlock's copyright assets. Bill McNichol is the current president of 20th Century Fox Film. After all, James Cameron was preparing a blockbuster film about Romeo and Juliet on the Titanic. 20th Century Fox had provided over $120 million in funding, so Terminator 3 would definitely have to take a back seat. Rupert Murdoch nodded, Universal's Waterworld is seriously over budget. We must keep our investment in James Cameron's new film, Titanic, under budget. Could this be the reason Aaron Anderson has drastically halted most of Universal's projects? Understood, Peter Chernin said, knowing that Anderson had halted nearly all of Universal's major film projects for review. This clearly showed Aaron's distrust of Universal's top management. Sidney Sheinberg and Tom Pollock had left, and Lou Wasserman had been sidelined to manage MCA Records, a subsidiary of Universal Music Group. The split and restructuring of MCA Group essentially meant a complete shakeup and massive layoffs at Dawn, with a particular focus on Universal's film and television divisions. Chapter 339 Actor Salary Record. At Universal Studios Hollywood, MPAA President Jack Valenti and Aaron were in the Back to the Future sci-fi land. Aaron, aren't you being too hasty? This is too big a move. Thousands of jobs are at stake. Jack Valenti's primary responsibility was to maintain the stability and sustainability of Hollywood. Aaron's recent overhaul of Universal had practically crippled it. Aaron crossed his arms and shook his head slightly. The Japanese and those European investors have shattered Hollywood's salary structure. The losses at Columbia TriStar and Universal are staggering. Look at Carlock, they've even filed for bankruptcy protection. It's obvious this won't work. Universal is now in a state of either destruction or construction, Aaron said, looking to the other side. The Jurassic Park attraction, which opened last year and is one of Universal Studios' most popular attractions, was produced by Amblin Pictures, and author Michael Crichton and producer-director Steven Spielberg share in the profits each year. Aaron, you know that many projects take a long time to prepare, from producers and screenwriters to directors, taking anywhere from 1 to 3 years to 10. Your decision will directly lead to the waste of countless people's hard work. Jack Valenti was frustrated, but there was nothing he could do. Aaron smiled. After the merger of Suzuki Films and Universal Pictures, the number of projects has exceeded our distribution capabilities. I simply withdrew from many Universal projects. As long as the crew can find new investors, they can continue production. Suzuki is not Panasonic. Can they invest so much money without hesitation? Aaron was also dissatisfied with Sony's approach. They offered Jim Carrey a $20 million salary for Kingsman. It set a bad precedent, raising male star salaries to $20 million. Even Sylvester Stallone's performance in the 1989 film was worth $17.5 million. Furthermore, Sony Columbia offered Demi Moore a $12.5 million salary to star in Striptease, raising actresses' salaries to over $10 million. Demi Moore became the first Hollywood actress to earn over $10 million for this year's film. After lunch with Jack Valenti, Aaron returned to Dawn's headquarters in Burbank. Now that Dawn Studios and Universal Studios have merged, Dawn owns over 30 studios. Universal City's headquarters originally managed the studios and Universal Studios, with distribution headquarters at Rockefeller Center in New York. However, after Dawn's acquisition of Universal, its headquarters is primarily based at Dawn's Burbank base, with Universal City Hollywood added. Carlock filed for bankruptcy protection. Their company's film rights for the Terminator and Rambo films are a hot topic of contention, the Terminator series in particular, with director James Cameron and lead actor Arnold Schwarzenegger both expressing interest. As for the Rambo sequel, after the poor reviews of 1988's Rambo III, Sylvester Stallone's interest in further sequels has waned significantly. In The Office, Esther Beckett briefed Aaron on the relevant work. Aaron leaned back in his chair. Terminator 3, forget it. James Cameron should be working on Titanic right now. How would he have time for Terminator 3? Carlock was also hilarious. Last year's severely over-budget Cutthroat Island hadn't even been released yet, and they had already filed for bankruptcy protection. Previously, Carlock had vowed to bring James Cameron in to collaborate with Sue Wong on an adaptation of Marvel's Spider-Man. What about MGM? Is Seagram not interested in MGM? CAA has the final say on MGM's survival. Aaron was puzzled. MGM United Artists at least has a strong reputation and a strong foundation, right? The Lion logo is worth a lot of money, and United Artists' flagship 007 franchise has just begun filming a sequel, GoldenEye. Furthermore, MGM United Artists' top executives, MGM Chairman and CEO Frank Marcuse, President Michael Marcus, and United Artists President John Calicut, are all CAA clients. If Edgar Bronfman Jr. wants to acquire MGM, CAA's help will make the deal very smooth. Esther Beckett shook her head. I haven't heard anything yet, and Michael Ovitz of CAA has been very close to Disney lately. Many newspapers speculate that Michael Ovitz, invited by Michael Eisner to join Disney as president, is not far off. Aaron rubbed his eyes. Never mind that for now. The next priority is to complete the business restructuring and resource integration of Universal Aurora. We have a lot of productions this year, so we'll try to avoid any problems. Domestic and international distribution channels are key to this integration, especially with Universal's exit from Aurora Universal International Pictures, the company formed by UIP, United International Pictures, and Aurora International. Another area is music. After MCA was reorganized into Universal Music, Aaron also wanted to expand Universal Music internationally. Polygram, EMI, Warner, Sony, Universal, and Bertelsmann are currently the world's 6 major record companies. Universal Music's primary market remains North America, with a small presence in Western Europe, but its presence in Asia and Latin America is far behind. By the way, boss, the budget for The Rock is $75 million, Esther Beckett reminded him. Aaron nodded. Bad Boys has been out for 3 weeks and has already broken the $50 million mark at the North American box office. It's also getting very good reviews. The scale and spectacle of The Rock are much larger than Bad Boys, and the actor's fame is incomparable. With $75 million, I'm sure Michael Bay will deliver a satisfactory result. How is the progress on Independence Day, directed by Roland Emmerich? The budget for Independence Day was also only $75 million, the same as The Rock, but with lots of special effects shots, and they can't afford big-name stars. Keanu Reeves has been chosen as the male lead, and the film will start shooting soon. Aaron was stunned for a moment. Keanu Reeves? His works in the past 2 years seem to be very ordinary. After Speed, there haven't been any popular movies. He has the potential to become an action actor. Roland Emmerich chose Keanu Reeves as the male lead. Aaron did not object. After all, he is much more famous than Will Smith now. Chapter 340, Gambling King Kirk Kerkorian. At Club 54 in West Hollywood, Aaron and Catherine Zeta-Jones sat on the couch, drinking. You've accepted a role in Paramount's fantasy comedy, The Phantom. Yes, The Phantom is based on the comic book of the same name, and will be filming on location in Thailand, Australia, and other places. The investor and distributor is Paramount, Catherine Zeta-Jones said, kissing Aaron on the cheek. After filming The Mask of Zorro and My Best Friend's Wedding over the past 2 years, we've been getting more and more scripts. Therefore, Catherine Zeta-Jones turned down television projects like Catherine the Great and The Sinking of Titanic. Her main focus now is still on big-screen films. Aaron nodded. Catherine Zeta-Jones has already starred in 2 hits, so she's definitely a star. As an English rose who embodies sexiness, wildness, and classic beauty, Catherine Zeta-Jones's beauty is undeniable. Aaron immediately kissed Catherine Zeta-Jones and caressed her thigh. Catherine Zeta-Jones responded enthusiastically by hugging him tightly. Shortly thereafter, the two ran into actress Demi Moore at the club. She had recently starred in the Castle Rock and Sony Columbia film Striptease, which had garnered her a huge amount of attention. Moore earned $12.5 million for the role. "Good evening, Aaron. I didn't expect to see you here." Congratulations on acquiring Universal. Demi Moore had previously collaborated with Aaron on the hit film Indecent Proposal, which catapulted her to fame. Last year, Demi Moore and Michael Douglas starred in the film, The Untouchables, which grossed over $80 million in North America and $210 million worldwide. "Hi, Catherine." Demi Moore hugged Catherine Zeta-Jones, who was standing nearby. Aaron smiled. "Congratulations, too. You recently broke the highest-paid actress ever." Demi Moore's recent films have all featured sexy characters. Last year's film, The Scarlet Letter, based on the classic novel of the same name, starring Gary Oldman, is set to be released this year. Demi Moore shook her head. "I'm just doing my job as an actress." Bruce, on the other hand, has been working with Suzuki quite a bit lately. She was referring to her husband, Bruce Willis. After starring in Pulp Fiction, he joined Quentin Tarantino's 4 Rooms. Bruce Willis recently wrapped filming 12 Monkeys, also funded by Universal, which is now owned by Suzuki. Unfortunately, of Bruce Willis' 4 films released last year, only Pulp Fiction achieved significant critical acclaim. Besides the Die Hard series, his other films have been largely underwhelming. Pulp Fiction truly revitalized Bruce Willis's box office and catapulted several other actors to fame. After all, with a budget of $8.5 million and a global box office of $214 million, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction holds a special place in cinematic history. Bruce, last year he filmed the 20th Century Fox sequel, Die Hard 3, which is coming out this summer, Aaron said. "It's coming out around the same time as Dawn's Con Air." Die Hard 3 was directed by John McTiernan, and when Aaron was preparing Con Air last year, he was planning to ask him to direct. Unfortunately, he was busy directing Die Hard 3, so Aaron approached Jan de Bont, the director of Speed. Fortunately, Jan de Bont did a great job with Con Air and is now working on the disaster drama Twister for Dawn. Demi Moore clinked glasses with the two men. "Dawn's work has always been a model for other film studios to imitate," she said. "Who in Hollywood dares to underestimate Dawn?" After a few more conversations, Aaron left the club with Catherine Zeta-Jones and drove back to Beverly Hills. Meanwhile, Las Vegas casino tycoon Kirk Kerkorian, who had sold MGM several years earlier, had returned to Hollywood. The 78-year-old Kirk Kerkorian arrived at his Beverly Hills villa and inquired about MGM's progress. An assistant nearby quickly responded, "After a re-injection of capital, the French bank Crédit Lyonnais has formed a strategic partnership with CAA, increasing film production and distribution. In particular, the new James Bond film, GoldenEye, produced by United Artists, will be released this year." Last year, Carlock's film, Stargate, released by MGM United Artists, grossed $190 million worldwide. Kirk Kerkorian's newly built MGM Grand opened in Las Vegas 2 years ago and is currently the largest resort hotel. Now, he's very interested in the American auto industry and is preparing to take over Chrysler through former Chrysler chairman and CEO Lee Iacocca. However, Kirk Kerkorian seems to have regained interest in MGM. "The MGM Grand in Las Vegas needs more creativity. From what you said, MGM's value has increased a lot now, right?" Kirk Kerkorian has acquired MGM twice and sold it twice. MGM's distribution system, production base, copyright library, props and other assets have long been sold by him. If it weren't for the acquisition of United Artists, MGM would only have the Lion logo left now. Even so, it can't stop him from continuing to squeeze MGM dry. After all, his MGM Grand is the Lion logo. The assistant nodded. Crédit Lyonnais wasn't very interested in operating MGM United Artists and had been planning to split and sell off MGM United Artists assets for several years, but they were persuaded by Michael Ovitz, chairman of CAA, to inject capital into the operation. After all, if they had split and sold off the assets at the time, the most valuable asset would have been United Artists' copyright library. Now, MGM United Artists is showing signs of recovery, and its value has indeed increased. Kirk Kerkorian smiled. Hollywood is not at peace. Dawn Group is acquiring MCA Universal. I'm very interested in this young man, Aaron Anderson. At the very least, Kirk Kerkorian also values film copyright libraries. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let MGM acquire United Artists when United Artists went bankrupt after filming Heaven's Gate. Dawn's successive acquisitions of Samuel Goldwyn's film copyright library, Orion, and Universal suited his tastes very well. Let's make an appointment with the MGM representative from Crédit Lyonnais. Chapter 341 The structure of the 6 major media groups. After the release of Dawn Pixar's Toy Story, the box office has been soaring, accumulating $64 million in just 2 weeks. As a pioneer in 3D computer animation, Toy Story holds immense significance. Coupled with Dawn's recent acquisition of Universal Studios, Pixar's success has provided ample impetus for Universal Studios. David Komansky? Reassure him that Merrill Lynch will be one of the underwriters for Dawn's IPO. Aaron lay in bed in his villa at the Glen community in Beverly Hills, speaking on the phone with Jessica Parker. The group's CFO David Komansky is Merrill Lynch's president and chief operating officer. SHH, Aaron said, silencing Catherine Zeta-Jones in his arms. Yes, Catherine Zeta-Jones, who was lying on top of Aaron, simply pursed her lips before kissing him. Understood. Also, First Intercontinental Bank and Wells Fargo are willing to issue $500 million to $700 million in corporate bonds for us, Jessica Parker continued on the phone. First Intercontinental and Wells Fargo are both large regional banks based in California. However, due to the introduction of new banking regulations last year, U.S. banks have embarked on a wave of mergers and acquisitions. Su Guang has extensive collaborations with both First Intercontinental and Wells Fargo, and both banks have a significant presence in Hollywood. Aaron thought about it. After the acquisition of MCA Universal, Su Guang's debt exceeded $4 billion. With the upcoming expansion of Universal Music and Universal Studios, capital was definitely needed. Excellent. I've already instructed Tom Williams to negotiate with Rank Films in the UK to acquire half of Universal Orlando's shares. Also, I need to restart the construction of Universal Studios in Osaka and expand Universal Music Group, which will definitely require more cash. Now that Pixar was in place, Aaron's expectations for Universal Studios were much higher. Universal Studios couldn't just rely on Steven Spielberg's films to attract audiences, right? Of course, a few $100 million wouldn't be enough, which was why Aaron agreed to take Su Guang public as soon as possible. Aaron wanted to seize this opportunity to develop Su Guang. There would be a lot of acquisitions coming up, and financing was essential. You're getting busier and busier, all because your career is getting bigger and bigger. Seeing Aaron put down his phone, Catherine Zeta-Jones smiled in his arms. Okay, get up and eat something. Aaron patted the girl on his back. New York, Manhattan, Seagram Building. Michael Ovitz and Edgar Bronfman Jr. were enjoying lunch together. That Las Vegas casino tycoon Kirk Kerkorian is back in Los Angeles. He just met with Francois Gill and expressed interest in MGM United Artists. It seems he's looking to acquire MGM for the 3rd time. Edgar Bronfman Jr. put down his knife and fork and took a sip of coffee. Huh? It seems MGM still has appeal. He understood what Michael Ovitz meant, but MGM was too weak now. It was nothing more than a film and entertainment company. Moreover, even the MGM brand and lion logo weren't exclusive to the film company. Kirk Kerkorian could still legally use them. Seagram's not just a small-time venture. MGM is now just an independent film company. Its copyright library and distribution channels are all owned by United Artists, and it doesn't even have an international distribution network. Its upstream and downstream supply chains are severely lacking. Why would Seagram acquire MGM? Edgar Bronfman Jr. smiled. Am I going to build a new MGM engine? Listening to the other party's statement, Michael Ovitz understood that Seagram was interested in a large-scale, integrated entertainment group. Perhaps we could try to contact Sony. If Columbia TriStar's huge losses don't improve, Sony might sell Columbia TriStar, Michael Ovitz suggested. Edgar Bronfman Jr. changed the subject. Over in Hollywood, after Dawn acquired MCA, it seems Aaron Anderson made some big moves. Yes, Aaron initiated a major overhaul of MCA, from its culture to its organizational structure, and completely reorganized the company's senior management. MCA was split and reorganized into Universal Studios and Universal Music Entertainment. It seemed he was trying to eliminate MCA. The once mighty MCA Entertainment Group had now become a subsidiary record label under Universal Music Group. Didn't Lew Wasserman object? Edgar Bronfman Jr. asked casually. Michael Ovitz smiled. MCA's top management has been largely replaced now, and Lew Wasserman clings to tradition. Aaron Anderson isn't the easiest person to deal with. He just sent Lew Wasserman to run MCA Records. Most operations at Universal City in Los Angeles will be moved to Burbank. Universal City will primarily serve as the studio and Universal Studios operations. The original MCA logos have been replaced by Dawn or Universal, with only Lew Wasserman's office still retaining the MCA logo. But now, almost no one at Dawn consults Lew Wasserman. He's become a Dawn mascot. Edgar Bronfman Jr. agrees with Aaron Anderson's approach. If Seagram had acquired MCA, he would have also purged the old guard. While his methods wouldn't be as direct as Aaron Anderson's, Dawn was already a top Hollywood studio and didn't worry about Universal causing any trouble. Michael Ovitz sighed. Warner Brothers, Time Warner, Disney, Paramount's Viacom, Sony, 20th Century Fox's News Corporation and Universal's Dawn. Now, the structure of the 6 major media groups in Hollywood has been completely established. It will be difficult for Seagram to snatch food from their mouths. MGM has an MPAA membership. Seagram can first acquire MGM to enter Hollywood, and then acquire other music, TV stations and other businesses, and expand step by step. For example, in music, EMI and Polygram are both candidates for consideration. Edgar Bronfman Jr.'s face couldn't help but move. First acquire MGM to enter Hollywood, and then acquire other businesses to expand. He was indeed tempted. Is that Las Vegas gambling king also determined to acquire MGM? Michael Ovitz shook his head. It's just an investment. He never knew how to run a film company. Besides, Kirk Kerkorian wouldn't put up too much money to acquire MGM. Edgar Bronfman Jr. leaned back in his chair and knocked on the table. Please make an appointment with Francois Gill for me. Chapter 342 Bush's Small Return. As the 1994-95 NBA regular season concluded, the Rockets had a record of 47 wins and 35 losses, finishing 6th in the Western Conference and entering the playoffs. In the first round of the playoffs, the Houston Rockets traveled to Salt Lake City, Utah, to face the Jazz, who boasted the Utah Jazz's star duo. At the Delta Airlines Center in Salt Lake City, the Rockets lost Game 1 pages 100-102. In Game 2, Aaron brought Jennifer Connelly to a private room at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. Jennifer Connelly asked, Aaron, wasn't it a bad deal for the Rockets to trade Otis Thorpe for Clyde Drexler this year? In the first game, the Rockets' Hakeem Olajuwon scored 45 points on 20 of 30 shooting, with 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 blocks. Unfortunately, Clyde Drexler, the glider, struggled, scoring only 7 points on 3 of 8 shooting. Meanwhile, Karl Malone, the mailman, scored 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. Combined with John Stockton's 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists, the Rockets lost to the Jazz by 2 points. Well, he's a pretty good bargain. He's a veteran, and he played well in this one game. The rest of the Rockets were hot. Aaron smiled. The regular season duo of Glider and Dream wasn't a success. Age and injuries were the Rockets' biggest challenges. 6th place in the playoffs, there's no precedent for winning a championship with that kind of ranking. Jennifer Connelly sighed. Aaron's mouth twitched, and he pinched the girl's waist. Have you ever seen a 25-year-old young man with a net worth of billions of dollars? Jennifer Connelly smiled and kissed the man on the face a few times. I see, you're the best. Anyway, anything can happen to you, right? Aaron nodded slightly and reached out to stroke the girl's thigh. Everything depends on human effort. Only God knows what will happen next. Aaron, did you know that the Great Salt Lake area in Utah is the headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a Native American denomination? Hearing Jennifer Connelly's mysterious tone, Aaron rolled his eyes. Aren't you talking about the Mormon Church? The Mormon Church's headquarters is in Salt Lake City, Utah. The Mormon Church's development and growth in the Great Salt Lake City was inseparable from its then leader, Brigham Young, and the famous Brigham Young University was founded by the Mormon Church. Moreover, many prominent figures in Utah are Mormons, like Larry H. Miller, owner of the Utah Jazz and the Delta Center. Mormons practice polygamy, though they were forced to abandon it at the end of the last century, but now, many Mormons support polygamy. Jennifer Connelly blinked her bright eyes. Well, I'm sure this interests you. Aaron held his forehead and smiled. It's a different era these days, who cares about that? As the game progressed, the Rockets' Elijah Wan and Drexler each scored 30 points, with two others scoring 20 or more. Ultimately, the Rockets defeated the Jazz 140-126, tying the series at 1-1. However, in their third game of the first round, back at home, the Rockets lost 82-95. Remember, the first round of the NBA playoffs is now a best-of-5 series. With the series score at 1-2, another loss for the Rockets meant they'd be going home straight away. Fortunately, in Game 4, at the Compaq Center, Aaron and Texas newly elected Governor George H.W. Bush witnessed the performances of the former college duo, Glider and Drexler, who stepped up and delivered dazzling performances. Drexler evened his best game since joining the Rockets, shooting 12 for 18 from the field and 13 for 14 from the free throw line for a total of 41 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and only 1 turnover. Elijah Wan also scored 40 points. Thanks to the performances of both players, the Rockets defeated the Jazz 123-106, tying the series at 2-2 and forcing a Game 5. Aaron, I believe the Rockets will definitely beat the Jazz in Game 5 and advance to the second round of the playoffs. George H.W. Bush warmly shook Aaron's hand after the game. Aaron nodded with a smile. I have always had confidence in the Rockets. By the way, Aaron, did Su Guang encounter any trouble after acquiring MCA? George Bush Jr. shrugged. I heard that you directly replaced the top management of MCA and split and reorganized MCA. You know, Lou Wasserman has a lot of connections in Washington. Aaron didn't care. Mr. Governor, that was a long time ago. MCA's performance plummeted under the leadership of Lou Wasserman. Panasonic acquired MCA a few years ago, and Lou Wasserman has gone from an entertainment tycoon to a professional manager. Besides, MCA did not disappear, but became a record label of Universal Music. Aaron certainly knew about Lou Wasserman's political resources. Before the 1970s, Hollywood was indeed his era. It was he who pushed Jack Valenti, chairman of the MPAA, and established Hollywood's film rating system. Lou Wasserman himself served as chairman of the Motion Picture Producers Association, and Jack Valenti served as chairman of the MPAA Film Association, holding great power. But then, the Motion Picture Producers Association and the Television Producers Association merged, triggering a writers' strike that cost Hollywood dearly. Lou Wasserman's handling of the situation was not only frowned upon by the Motion Picture Producers Association, but also by the Writers Guild, who, under pressure, stepped down and made way for someone more capable. Now, with Hollywood's major film studios being absorbed by media conglomerates, the capital behind the media conglomerates is in control. The MPAA is run by the 7 official members, and Jack Valenti is merely a middleman serving them. In terms of capital, political resources, media channels, and so on, Aaron Anderson's Dawn and the shareholders behind him are truly fearless. George W. Bush approached Aaron and patted him on the shoulder. Houston District Judge Greg Abbott has resigned. Now, it's up to you to determine how your Houston Post will capture the market. Greg Abbott, the judge who had previously threatened to sue the Houston Post. Aaron smiled. Don't worry, Hearst Group is no match for Dawn. The Houston Post will definitely surpass the Houston Chronicle in all aspects. The right to speak in the greater Houston area, and even the entire state of Texas, will definitely be ours. George Bush Jr. thought for a moment and reminded, Fox is setting up a cable news channel to compete with CNN. Rupert Murdoch of News Corporation is a Republican supporter. If you are interested in FNC, Fox News Channel, we can help you participate. Aaron's eyes lit up. Really? George Bush Jr. nodded. It's just a small reward. Chapter 343 Rupert Murdoch. In Houston, at a villa in the River Oaks community, Aaron half slept on his bed in his bedroom, pondering Bush's words. Being involved in the formation of FNC was definitely a good thing. Besides the 4 major broadcast networks now having their own news channels, TBS's cable news channel, CNN, is the most powerful. CNN was the first cable network to broadcast news 24/7. In terms of ratings and domestic and international influence, CNN is the undisputed king. Fox's plan to establish the FNC cable news channel is also intended to compete with CNN, as Fox is at the bottom of the 4 major broadcast networks. Furthermore, NBC seems to be collaborating with Microsoft to launch its own cable news channel, MSNBC News. Earlier this year, Paramount's UPN, United Paramount Network, and Warner Brothers WB, Warner Brothers Network, both launched. As new television networks, UPN and the WB were undoubtedly facing challenges in their development, but Aaron wasn't worried. Paramount's parent company, Viacom, owned several cable channels, and Warner Brothers' parent company, Time Warner, also owned the network operator, Time Cable. "Aaron, what are you thinking about?" Jennifer Connelly approached, wearing a translucent, sexy silk camisole, revealing her voluptuous figure. "Oh, nothing, just thinking about you." Aaron smiled and held out his arms. Jennifer Connelly immediately leaned into his embrace and kissed him on the lips. Game 5 between the Rockets and the Jazz is the final game. "Should we still go to Salt Lake City after the kiss?" Jennifer Connelly asked, leaning into his arms. Aaron shook his head and reached out to caress the girl's 34D breasts. "No, we have more important things to do next. We're going to New York." Participating in the establishment of the FNC News Channel was a great opportunity for Shugwang to enter the cable news television industry, and it was definitely not to be missed. Shugwang's current AMC cable TV station and half of the USA cable network were basic entertainment cable TV networks, just like the FX Entertainment cable channel that Fox launched this year. News, sports, and family channels were all owned by the 4 major wireless broadcast networks, or were dedicated cable channels. Just like CNN, owned by TBS, is a news cable channel, TNT is a sports cable channel, and Cartoon Network is a family children's channel. "Yeah, let's go to New York," Jennifer Connelly said, reaching out and caressing little Aaron. It's summertime, and on Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon recently opened, grossing $26 million and receiving positive reviews. Universal's Casper the Younger is coming out at the end of the month. It's a Spielberg fantasy, after all, so it shouldn't do badly at the box office. The previously released Bad Boys also broke the $60 million mark at the North American box office, and Pixar's animated feature Toy Story has even surpassed $120 million. Dawn continues its strong run. "Well, come on up," Aaron said, removing the woman's pajamas and caressing her voluptuous figure. "Didn't you say you were cast as the lead actress in Sony's Kingsman: The Force Awakens, alongside Jim Carrey? After all, it was the first time a Hollywood actor had earned $20 million for a film. Jim Carrey had made history. Now, stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mel Gibson are clamoring for that same salary." Yeah, I worked with director Ben Stiller before on his directorial debut, The Pain of Life, and this time, The King's Man. We're working together again. Besides, The King's Man is going to start filming soon," Jennifer Connelly said, leaning over and kissing Aaron. The Pain of Life was the teen film that Winona Ryder co-produced and starred in a few years ago, with Jennifer Connelly in the supporting role. The King's Man was arguably Ben Stiller's most ambitious film, starring Jim Carrey and Jennifer Connelly respectively, with a production budget of approximately $50 million. Aaron hugged the girl tightly. "So you're going back to Los Angeles?" Jennifer Connelly panted. "Yeah, maybe we could go to New York first." With the Rockets' final game of the Western Conference playoffs first round in Salt Lake City, they defeated the Jazz 95-91 on the road, advancing to the second round. Their opponent in the Western Conference semifinals was also a familiar rival, the Phoenix Suns, who had defeated the Portland Trail Blazers in the first round. However, Aaron had already arrived in New York, while Jennifer Connelly had returned to Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Westinghouse Electric acquired the CBS radio network for $5.4 billion in cash. Disney's acquisition of CBS-ABC Group was still underway. In Manhattan's Times Square, the Walter Kerr Theater on Broadway was performing the musical Sunset Boulevard. Glenn Close, a veteran Hollywood actress, played the title role. This year, she won the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical for her role in Sunset Boulevard. Aaron and 64-year-old News Corporation Chairman and CEO Rupert Murdoch enjoyed the musical together. "Aaron, it seems you're really interested in television," Rupert Murdoch smiled. "Dawning just recently acquired MCA Group and is in the process of splitting, restructuring, and integrating. Aren't you worried about Dawning's problems?" Aaron exhaled. Dawning's current ownership of the Houston Post and 2 local television stations in the greater Houston area can serve as leverage for Dawning's participation in the FNC News Channel. Fox established the FNC Cable News Channel because it was backed by News Corporation and had a wealth of content to offer. And for Fox, Dawning's value lies in the Houston Post and 2 local television stations in the greater Houston area. This, in turn, is Dawning's key leverage in its participation in the FNC cable news channel. The two Houston area TV stations can join the Fox camp and become affiliates of the Fox Wireless Broadcasting Network. The Houston Post can also provide content support alongside the New York Post, Chicago Sun-Times, and others. Rupert Murdoch looked at Aaron. How much of the FNC News Channel's shares does Dawn want? Aaron responded without hesitation, no less than 30% of the shares. The operating rights of FNC will definitely belong to Fox Entertainment. Dawn will provide some shares of the Houston Post Group plus cash. Rupert Murdoch nodded. Perhaps we can let the people below discuss the details. Chapter 344 No One Can Refuse. In the Universal Studios offices at Rockefeller Center in Manhattan, Aaron leaned back in his chair, chatting with Jovan Adams, president of AMC Cable Networks. Fox's ambitions are truly impressive. They've not only established a new Fox Cable News channel, but they've also partnered with Liberty Media to create a new Fox Cable Sports network. Aaron smiled. Rupert Murdoch had recently established Sky UK and acquired satellite TV companies in Asia, not only expanding his global satellite TV presence, but was now also making inroads into North American cable TV. Jovan Adams said, as a younger competitor among the four major commercial terrestrial networks, Fox is betting on cable, hoping to leverage the revenue from cable to expand its network. CNN, ESPN, MTV, and other cable channels are the dominant players in their respective categories, generating substantial revenue. Terrestrial networks certainly don't have the same revenue as cable networks with comparable ratings, but their reach and political influence are unmatched. CNN, however, has shown the power and formidable strength of top-tier cable news channels. NBC is partnering with Microsoft to develop the MSNBC cable news channel, and Fox is also developing the FNC cable news channel to compete with CNN. That evening, in East Hampton, Long Island, New York, Sophie Marceau, after promoting Braveheart, lazily slumped on the sofa at her seaside vacation villa. Aaron smiled. Why, do you have a lot of promotional activities scheduled for Paramount? Braveheart and Universal's Casper Grinch were released simultaneously a few days ago. Casper Grinch debuted with $16.8 million, while Braveheart debuted with $9.9 million. Braveheart has received good reviews, and the promotional campaign has been very intense, Sophie Marceau said, smoothing her hair. The constant stream of activities, including television appearances and interviews with newspapers and magazines, is quite exhausting. Aaron sat down next to Sophie Marceau and kissed the girl. Braveheart, the word of mouth is quite good. Except for some criticisms of the fictional history, it is basically well received. Los Angeles Times, Braveheart is a passionate and fascinating 3-hour historical epic. Chicago Sun-Times, the film directed by Mel Gibson is a fully committed and blood-boiling battle epic. It is an ambitious film. The film focuses on themes such as love, patriotism and rebellion, thus avoiding making the film into a travel documentary of historical figures. Hollywood Reporter, as the director, star and producer of Braveheart, Mel Gibson turned an unpromising 13th-century Scottish miracle story wearing a plaid kilt into one of the most spectacular entertainment works in years. Chicago Tribune, the medieval epic Braveheart marks a personal victory for Mel Gibson. He produced, directed and starred in the civilian William Wallace and inspired the entire Scottish army to fight against the tyranny of King Edward of England. The Washington Post commented, the film boasts breathtaking battle scenes and a free-spirited depiction of history. Critics and newspapers and magazines have lauded Mel Gibson and Braveheart. Of course, Gibson's immense success as producer, director, and lead actor is not the only one who has truly shined. Sophie Marceau's portrayal of Princess Isabella of France is equally influential. Marceau's portrayal, dignified, elegant, charming, and stunning, imbues the film with a profound sense of soul. Sophie Marceau smiled and lay on Aaron. What do you think of Braveheart? Aaron reached out and stroked the girl's long chestnut hair. I think it's an epic war movie full of passion, politics, romance and morality. I have to say that Mel Gibson showed extraordinary ability in the movie and successfully shot a cold weapon movie with profound nationalism and political connotations, especially at the end. The scene where William Wallace shouted freedom before being beheaded, made the theme of the movie sublime and shocking. In short, Aaron thinks Braveheart is really well made, whether it is character creation, theme and narrative, background music, costume design, and photography style. Braveheart has done it perfectly. Of course, Braveheart is not without criticism, that is, Mel Gibson's fictional love story of William Wallace and Princess Isabella is too nihilistic. Oh, that's a really high praise. Sophie Marceau's lips curled up. 4 weddings and a funeral had made her famous in Hollywood, and this Braveheart could truly launch her to a global audience. Immediately, Sophie Marceau wrapped her arms around the man's neck, leaning in close and kissing him. Erin Linden, passionately returning the French rose's kiss while caressing her voluptuous body. Soon, Erin and Sophie Marceau had both shed their clothes. On the sofa, Erin lay on top of Sophie Marceau, feeling her gentle and passionate touch. Are we going to the Cannes Film Festival to promote it next? Sophie Marceau hugged the man tightly. Yes, we'll be leaving soon. Isn't the Cannes Film Festival already started? We'll be in Cannes for a day or two, then we'll go to Edinburgh, Scotland for the premiere. It was clear that Braveheart was about to embark on its European promotional tour. The next morning, Erin woke up with Sophie Marceau, her face flushed with radiance, in his arms. My dear, look. You're so radiant and charming this year, Sophie Marceau hummed, caressing Erin's face. It's all thanks to you, Erin smiled. I've always said it before, no one can resist a French kiss, unless they're not a man. You must be hungry. Whatever you want, I'll make it, Sophie Marceau thought for a moment. Whatever you want. I'll go take a shower first, Erin nodded, then got out of bed and went to prepare breakfast. Erin didn't know how to make much. After Erin finished making the eggs and ham, he went to the bathroom door and found Sophie Marceau still in the shower. Sophie, Erin pushed the door open and saw Sophie Marceau emerging from the tub, her voluptuous body inviting his imagination. Are you ready? Yes, but there's no rush now, Erin said, then walked over, embraced Sophie Marceau, and began to kiss her. Sophie Marceau was surprised for a moment, then she hugged Erin tightly and responded enthusiastically. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345 Waiting for Bankruptcy. This summer, both Suzuki and Universal Pictures released excellent films, including Bad Boys for Life, Toy Story, The Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, and Casper the Evil Dead. Universal Pictures' documentary blockbuster Apollo 13 opened to $25 million and amassed $65 million in just 10 days. The film, recreating the 1970 feat and celebrating the astronauts' heroism in defying adversity, has a profound educational value and has garnered rave reviews. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets faced the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference semifinals. After a 3-1 series tie after the first 4 games, the Rockets persevered and won 3 straight games, ultimately defeating the Suns 4-3 in 7 games. Clearly, the Houston Rockets overcame tough opponents in their first 2 playoff series against the Jazz and Suns. In the Western Conference Finals, the Rockets faced the San Antonio Spurs, featuring regular season MVP David Robinson. The Western Conference Finals are currently underway, and the Rockets have won 2 games in a row, leading the series 2-0 as they prepare for Game 3. The Eastern Conference Finals pits the Orlando Magic against the Indiana Pacers. The New York Knicks and Chicago Bulls were both eliminated in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Furthermore, thanks to NBA Commissioner David Stern's global marketing initiative, 2 Canadian clubs will officially be added to the roster this year, the Toronto Raptors and the Vancouver Grizzlies. The NBA Draft, to be held at the end of this month, will be held in Toronto, Canada. At the Chinese Theater in Los Angeles, the premiere of Seven, directed by David Fincher and starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, took place. Aaron attended the premiere with Brad Gray from his agency, having always been optimistic about David Fincher. Warner Bros. Batman Forever opened to $52 million and broke $100 million in just 2 weeks. Joel Schumacher's directing style is relatively rough, and the reviews for Batman Forever have been mixed, Brad Gray said with a smile. Aaron nodded. Disney's animated feature Pocahontas opened to $34 million. The reviews are also quite good. Fortunately, our Toy Story performed very well, otherwise Disney would have continued to dominate the animation market this year. Toy Story has already grossed over $160 million in North America and is currently showing overseas, having also surpassed $100 million. It can be said that Toy Story's performance has been perfect. By the way, 20th Century Fox recently offered $50 million to acquire Carlock. However, One of Carlock's investors, France's Canal Plus, also expressed interest in acquiring Carlock Pictures, offering $58 million. Then, 20th Century Fox backed out, and Carlock's bondholders hoped Canal Plus would raise the price. Carlock is currently under bankruptcy protection, and banks are particularly interested in Carlock's assets, especially the filming rights for Terminator 2, Judgment Day and Terminator 3. 20th Century Fox is definitely only interested in the Terminator series, Aaron said calmly. After all, James Cameron had signed a film agreement with 20th Century Fox. Carlock's creditors want a high price, but they don't realize they're also waiting for them to officially declare bankruptcy. Aaron suddenly spotted Winona Ryder, who had come to the premiere of Seven. She must have been there because of her current relationship with Gwyneth Paltrow, who starred in the film. Carlock only holds half of the rights to Terminator 3, the other half is held by James Cameron's ex-wife, Gail Ann Hurd. James Cameron is currently helping 20th Century Fox prepare a new film, so he's probably not in a rush, Aaron sighed. Next month, Con Air and Waterworld are coming out. You're well aware of the situation with Waterworld. It's severely overspent, and the director is at odds with the lead actor, who is also a producer. After acquiring Universal, Aaron felt somewhat frustrated with Waterworld because the previews weren't satisfactory to most people. Brad Gray smiled wryly. Kevin Costner has already taken a crew to Japan to promote Waterworld. We hope to perform well in the international market. All right, Aaron said, and walked away. Rupert Murdoch had gone to the UK, and Aaron had been very enthusiastic about the idea of collaborating on the FNC News Channel. Brad Pitt actually accepted a role in Universal's Apollo 13 last year, but he preferred the script for Seven, just like he was open to playing the supporting role in 12 Monkeys. Brad Pitt has a soft spot for roles that offer tension. Winona, it seems you and Gwen are getting along pretty well. After the film, Aaron skipped the after-screening dinner and left the Chinese theater with Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder returned to Aaron's Bel Air villa and sat on the sofa. It was great, we got along really well. Seven is so profound and so moving. Dawn released The Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon last month, also a profound thriller. However, Seven focuses more on the darkness of human nature in society, and has a stronger religious atmosphere. Aaron smiled. I've always been optimistic about David Fincher's abilities. The failure of Alien 3 can't be blamed on him at all. Previously, David Fincher had no say in Alien 3, which was critically acclaimed for 20th Century Fox, but at least it performed well at the box office. Aaron then reached out and stroked Winona Ryder's thigh, reminding her, "Don't be too trusting in Hollywood." Winona Ryder nodded. "Don't worry, I understand. The romantic film I shot for Universal last year, The Silence of the Dragon, is coming out this fall." "Right, The Silence of the Dragon, I think," Aaron replied after a moment's thought. "I've been offered a historical film, and it's with Daniel Day-Lewis. My role is a villainous woman, and I'm really excited to act." Winona Ryder looked at Aaron and discussed the current script. Aaron shook his head. "You were just nominated for an Oscar for Best Actress this year. My advice is to choose a commercial film. You have no shortage of low-cost art films. Your current commercial influence is not enough." "Oh, on May Day, something happened to my relatives at home, Ellis." Chapter 346 Such a strong taste. The next day, a salacious story broke in Hollywood newspapers. British actor Hugh Grant had been arrested by Los Angeles police for having sex with a call girl in a car on Sunset Boulevard. "Hey, this guy has some unique tastes." Aaron sat on the sofa in his Bel Air villa, reading the newspaper, his mouth twitching. Hugh Grant had been caught red-handed by the Los Angeles Patrol while being served by a black man in a car on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. "What's going on?" Winona Ryder sauntered over and sat down next to Aaron. Aaron handed him the newspaper. "Look, Tisk." Winona Ryder's eyes widened, and she pointed at the black call girl in the newspaper. "Isn't that a man?" Aaron smiled. "I've always known Hugh Grant was a playboy. I guess he wanted a change of pace." Aaron had long heard from Elizabeth Hurley that Hugh Grant was a womanizer, but he had never expected such a strong taste. Hugh Grant was in Los Angeles, presumably to promote his new film, 9 Months, a romantic comedy starring Hugh Grant and Julianne Moore. The film was directed by Chris Columbus, the director of the Home Alone series, and financed and distributed by 20th Century Fox. Macaulay Culkin, the child star of the Home Alone series, announced his retirement from film and television this year due to his parents' divorce and custody battle. Alcoholism and marijuana use had completely ruined Macaulay Culkin, once the most expensive child star. In the afternoon, Aaron, who arrived at Universal City Hollywood, met with Steven Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg, the heads of DreamWorks. "Who's that Asian woman with Spielberg?" Aaron asked Ron Steele in the office. CJ Group's director Lee Mi-kyung invested in DreamWorks and the subsequent cooperation on behalf of CJ Group. Aaron nodded. Paul Allen, together with Lee Mi-kyung, the three founders have also pooled $100 million. No wonder DreamWorks SKG was born with a silver spoon in its mouth. Don Steele responded, "Indeed, DreamWorks SKG has been famous since the day it was founded. Some time ago, ABC TV and DreamWorks Television signed a $250 million television production agreement." ABC, Aaron smiled. "Disney is acquiring MetLife ABC Group. If successful, will Michael Eisner still cooperate with Jeffrey Katzenberg?" At the same time, Sony president Nobuyuki Ida finally fired Mickey Schulhoff, the head of Sony America. After John Peters and Peter Guber, it was the turn of Norio Oga's direct descendant. Sony was supposed to be overseen by Nobuyuki Ida as president, but Norio Oga still held a CEO position. While the president holds the highest position in Japanese companies, the CEO holds a higher rank in American ones, resulting in the current dual management of Sony by Oga and Norio Oga. Meanwhile, after losing the bid for MCA Universal to Akebano, Edgar Bronfman Jr. of the Seagram Group, at Michael Ovitz's suggestion, turned his attention to MGM. After competing with Kirk Kerkorian, Edgar Bronfman Jr. acquired MGM United Artists for $1.6 billion. "What, Ronald? You're joining MGM as president?" In the CAA offices in Beverly Hills, Michael Ovitz stared in disbelief. Edgar Bronfman Jr. invited Ronald Mayer to join MGM as president, co-managing the MGM Group with Frank Marcuse. Michael Ovitz was surprised to learn he hadn't known anything about this. Had Edgar Bronfman Jr. and Ronald Mayer been keeping it a secret from him? "Ronald, so I've been the Joker all along." Michael Ovitz couldn't believe Ronald Mayer, a friend he'd known for over 20 years, would actually keep this a secret. Ronald Mayer smiled and said, "Michael, you've gotten too much. Bill and I haven't earned half as much from CAA as you have. There were 5 of us who founded CAA, and only 3 of us are left, but you were too greedy and took too much." CAA's 3 largest shareholders are Michael Ovitz, Ronald Mayer, and Bill Harbour. But CAA's success is primarily due to Michael Ovitz alone, with Ronald Mayer and Bill Harbour always serving as his henchmen. Michael Ovitz's eyes widened. He couldn't believe Ronald Mayer's words. "You're truly greedy. Mr. Bronfman has lost confidence in you. Your demands are simply too high." Edgar Bronfman Jr. immediately approached Ronald Mayer after acquiring MGM. As for Michael Ovitz, he was now a discarded pawn. At the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills, the Seagram Group held a grand reception after acquiring MGM. Aaron was invited to attend and met with Edgar Bronfman Jr. again. "Congratulations, the sequel GoldenEye to be released next month is highly anticipated." Edgar Bronfman Jr. smiled and said, "MGM United Artists has sufficient foundation. Now with the financial support of the Seagram Group, I believe it will be able to revive soon." "Aaron, you have one more competitor in the future." Aaron glanced at Ronald Mayer, who was next to Frank Marcuse not far away. Edgar Bronfman Jr. did not invite Michael Ovitz, but invited Ronald Mayer. Aaron shrugged. "MGM has always been the foundation of Hollywood. If it is acquired by Kirk Kerkorian for the 3rd time, I am afraid that MGM will really become a casino brand rather than a movie brand. It may not be a bad thing for Hollywood that Seagram can acquire MGM." Of course, Aaron certainly didn't feel that way. As for MGM United Artists, apart from the distribution rights of the 007 series, what Aaron cared about most was the distribution rights of the Hobbit series. When Aaron acquired the copyright of the Lord of the Rings novel series from Saul Zaentz, he had the complete rights to the Lord of the Rings series, but only the film production rights of The Hobbit. The distribution rights were already in the hands of United Artists. Edgar Bronfman Jr. nodded and took a sip of wine. MGM certainly could not satisfy him. After all, apart from United Artists' copyright library and distribution system, MGM's film library before 1987 was in the hands of TBS Broadcasting Group, and assets such as production bases and film and television props had been sold by Kirk Kerkorian in the early years. Chapter 347 Appetizers. For Aaron, Edgar Bronfman Jr. was no match. Hollywood loved these second-generation rich kids. Later, Aaron met Martin Campbell, the director of GoldenEye, This new Bond film is really well made. Although GoldenEye officially opens next month, MGM has already screened it several times, and Aaron had certainly seen it. Aaron's optimism for the New Zealand director grew. GoldenEye boasts thrilling action, a fast-paced plot, and a humorous style. It's definitely a rare action-adventure film. Martin Campbell simply smiled at Aaron's praise and said, Bruce Pierce's brilliant performance is hard to ignore. A short while later, Elizabeth Hurley, the Bond girl, also appeared at the reception. Seven is getting great reviews. Dawn, combined with Universal, seems to be dominating the summer's box office. Elizabeth Hurley and Aaron shared a warm hug. She had returned specifically to promote GoldenEye. Aaron dragged Elizabeth Hurley to the upstairs bathroom and said with a smile, Does Hugh Grant have such strong tastes? As he spoke, he felt the woman's voluptuous curves. Elizabeth Hurley took the initiative and kissed the man. Who knows? I was asked about this by reporters at the Los Angeles Times when I got back. After all, Hugh Grant and Elizabeth Hurley were both big stars now. Although they had broken up, how could the reporters let Elizabeth Hurley off when Hugh Grant had something like this happen? What a shame. He didn't cherish such a sexy and beautiful girlfriend like you. Elizabeth Hurley clung to the man's arms. Last night, you left early. You won't do that tonight, will you? Not anymore. Last time, it was Winona Ryder and Mel Gibson who had a conflict, but not tonight. Elizabeth Hurley smiled and whispered in Aaron's ear, Well, honey, I'd like some appetizers. Aaron narrowed his eyes. Of course, following the Seagram Group's acquisition of MGM, Edgar Bronfman Jr. invited CAA President Ronald Mayer to take over management. Michael Ovitz was passed over, leading to a split within CAA's leadership. However, Michael Ovitz soon accepted Disney's invitation to become president. Disney will officially announce the appointment in August. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets defeated the Spurs 4-2 in the Western Conference Finals, setting up a finals meeting with the Eastern Conference champions, the Orlando Magic. Facing the young Magic team led by Shaquille O'Neal and Anthony Hardaway, the Rockets swept them 4-0, securing the 1995-1996 championship. Rocket star Hakeem Olajuwon was named Finals MVP after averaging 32.8 points, 11.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks per game. At a Houston nightclub, Jack Wells had reserved the entire place. Champagne was flowing, and the atmosphere was bustling with activity as the Rockets successfully defended their title. Aaron, do you think it's possible for the Rockets to win 3 consecutive championships? Jack Wells, his face flushed with excitement, pulled Aaron to contemplate the future. Aaron's face was flushed, clearly having drunk quite a bit, but his mind was still clear. He glanced at the celebrating players. It's tough. Clyde and Hakeem are both old. The Rockets are ranked 6th in this playoff series. Their wins against the Jazz and the Suns were incredibly difficult. That kind of thing is hard to replicate. Jack Wells sighed. The Chicago Bulls' 3 consecutive championships are so captivating. And Michael Jordan is back. Although the Bulls were eliminated by the Magic in the playoffs this year, who knows what's next year? Michael Jordan's reputation was undeniable, and no one could underestimate him. Aaron shrugged. Let's get the collective bargaining agreement done first. Last year's negotiations with the players' union yielded no results. They were postponed to prevent a lockout. Now, the season's over. If we can't reach an agreement, there's definitely a lockout. After Houston's championship victory, Aaron flew from Houston to Universal Studios Orlando. MCA had previously purchased 540 acres of land in Orlando to build a theme park resort as a direct competitor to Disney World. Since Universal Studios opened, the land has been scarce, and MCA's other theme park, Islands of Adventure, has been planning for several years and is about to begin construction. Dawn is preparing for an IPO, expected by the end of the year. Universal Orlando's expansion is imperative. Repurchase the 50% stake in Universal Orlando held by British Rank Films as soon as possible. In his office, Aaron chatted with Tom Williams, president of Universal Studios Resorts. Tom Williams nodded, I understand. The next investment will be considerable, and Rank Company does not have extra funds to participate, so the shares will definitely be diluted. We will buy back the shares, and they will sell them, Tom Williams reminded. There was a previous plan to build a Universal Studios theme park resort in Osaka to compete with Tokyo Disneyland. The Osaka municipal government and local Japanese investment companies are very interested. Aaron pinched his forehead. The Japanese side means that we should authorize them. and they will be responsible for the operation themselves. Yes, just like Tokyo Disneyland, the property rights and operating rights belong to Japan. And we earn licensing fees and consulting fees. Tokyo Disneyland is the first film and television theme park owned by an American company abroad. Disney adopts a brand licensing model. Construction costs and property ownership are also funded and owned by Japanese companies, and Disney obtains its own income from product licensing. Aaron thought for a moment and said, "No, the operating rights to Universal Studios Japan must be handed over to us, and Universal must hold a majority stake. Don't worry about the funding, Wall Street will support us." Aaron's idea for Universal Studios Japan was to run it along the lines of Euro Disneyland. The Japanese market was simply too vast. Just look at Tokyo Disneyland's revenue, and you'll understand. As he spoke, Aaron walked to the window, overlooking Universal Studios Orlando. Currently, it only had one theme park, and it was indeed too small. MCA had been planning to build a new Islands of Adventure since the year before last, and the plan was already complete. Now that Sugwang had acquired MCA, the project would of course proceed. Chapter 348 Sexy and Hot. With the arrival of July, Aaron had just returned to Los Angeles from Orlando when he received news of the NBA lockout. Haha, last year's top draft pick, Glenn Robinson, signed a massive 10-year, $68.1 million contract with the Bucks before he even started playing. Without restrictions on player contracts, it's hard to sustain development. Near Los Angeles International Airport, Aaron was leaning against his car, talking on the phone with Jack Wells. The NBA's current lockout was primarily due to two issues: the hard salary cap and rookie player contracts. The owners hope to emulate the NFL's hard salary cap and impose restrictions on rookie contracts to prevent situations like Glenn Robinson's. The players, of course, didn't want a hard salary cap or contract restrictions. What can I think? A hard salary cap and player contract restrictions are definitely going to be hard to get through the players' union. The players won't allow their salaries to be reduced. Alright, let's take it one step at a time. Aaron hung up the phone. The first overall pick in the Toronto draft had just ended was Joe Smith of the Golden State Warriors. But Aaron was focused on Kevin Garnett, the high school player selected 5th overall by the Minnesota Timberwolves. After all, he was the first high school player selected in the NBA draft since 1975. A moment later, Aaron spotted Wang Xiuxin emerging from the airport lobby and waved. "You really came to pick me up? Didn't you say I'd come straight over?" Wang Xiuxin hugged Aaron, clearly delighted. Aaron kissed the girl on the cheek and smiled casually. "I didn't have anything to do, so I just came straight over." Soon, Aaron drove Wang Xiuxin to a beachfront villa on Malibu Colonial Boulevard. Did the blood and tears of Chinese workers go to the Cannes Film Festival to promote it? Aaron asked from the sofa. After all, director John Woo, who was filming Broken Arrow, had also been to Cannes. Wang Xiuxin nodded. Yes, the blood and tears of Chinese workers was finally named Chinese Workers and participated in the Cannes Film Festival. It's going to be released in Hong Kong at the end of the month, pretty soon, Aaron said indifferently. For Xu Guang, Chinese Workers is just a low-budget art film, and it should be released in North America around October. I heard that director John Woo is directing a $50 million action blockbuster, Wang Xiuxin asked with a smile. $50 million is almost 400 million Hong Kong dollars. Currently, the most expensive Hong Kong films are Jack Chang's upcoming racing action blockbuster Firestorm, which has overspent its budget and is only 200 million Hong Kong dollars, making it the most expensive Hong Kong film. Aaron smiled. Yeah, the crew is filming in Utah right now, and the lead actor is John Travolta from Pulp Fiction. Wang Xiuxin immediately sat in Aaron's arms. That's great, especially now that Sugwang has acquired Universal Pictures and has become even more famous. Will the Rush Hour project start shooting this year? Jack Chang filmed Police Stories 4, the final draw in the first half of the year, preparing for a Lunar New Year release. Sugwang had already finalized the Rush Hour project with Jack Chang, and the preparations had already been underway. Jack Chang's team had already arrived in Los Angeles and was collaborating with Sugwang on the development of Rush Hour. Wang Xiuxin, as a co-starring actress, would also appear in the film. In the evening, Aaron brought Wang Xiuxin to enjoy dinner near the Malibu Beach Pier. This Rush Hour is an action comedy, which will bring out Jack Chang's own talents. Of course, we will also find a comedian to match him. Wang Xiuxin took a sip of wine, I heard that this time it seems that the purpose is not to push the finished movie to the Eastern market, but Hollywood wants to develop a work that collides Eastern and Western cultures, targeting the global market. Aaron wiped his mouth. Well, it must be aimed at the global market, especially North America. With Jack Chang's popularity in Asia, we are not worried. This time, we will follow the Hollywood model to match Jack Chang's talents, and I believe there will be highlights. Last year, Rumble in the Bronx achieved a box office of $32 million in North America, which was quite successful. This year, Twilight Pictures will release 2 old films of Jack Chang. Super Cop has been released, and it also earned $16 million at the box office. Next, there is another Operation Condor to be released. Both of them are North American distribution rights that Aaron bought from Golden Harvest. It could be attributed to the success of Rumble in the Bronx. Hong Kong kung fu films have a market, and Jack Chang became well known in Hollywood thanks to Rumble in the Bronx, so the release of his older films was a natural progression. However, besides Jack Chang's kung fu films, Ang Lee's art films also have a certain market in Hollywood. The Wedding Banquet, released 2 years ago, grossed $6.9 million in North America, while last year's Eat Drink Man Woman took in $7.2 million. Compared to kung fu films, Ang Lee's art films are more affordable. We have directors like John Woo and Ang Lee, and actors like Jack Chang. Aaron, you're really optimistic about Chinese filmmakers. Wang Xiuxin smiled. John Woo, of course, had previously achieved commercial success with Sony Columbia's The Last Target, and was now directing Broken Arrow for Shuguang. As for Ang Lee, he was currently filming Sense and Sensibility for Shuguang Global in the UK, a serious English-language film. Ang Lee's previous Father trilogy was all Chinese language. After dinner, Aaron and Wang Xiuxin went for a stroll on the beach. Hi, are you Wang Xiuxin? A young, beautiful, and sexy Chinese woman ran over and asked Wang Xiuxin. Wang Xiuxin nodded, thinking she must be a fan. Hello, it's me, it's really you, you're so beautiful. I'm a student at UCLA. Can you sign an autograph for me? She said, pulling out a notebook and pen. Wang Xiuxin was not arrogant. Sure, my name is Lin Zilli, also known as Kelly. I was also born in Taipei and immigrated to California as a child, and, last year I went back to Taipei to film a TV series. Lin Zilli is now 20 years old and is studying economics at UCLA in Westwood, Los Angeles. Naturally beautiful and with a sleek figure, Lin Zilli often works part-time at ice cream shops and surf shops, but tonight she saw the superstar Wang Xiuxin. Wang Xiuxin was stunned for a moment, then a bit surprised after signing her name. Ah, are you an actor too? Lin Zilli smiled. I'm not sure if I count, I've only filmed one TV show, and I haven't even graduated yet. Meanwhile, Aaron, standing nearby, discreetly scrutinized the young and sexy Lin Zilli. No wonder she looked familiar. It was her. Okay, bye. Perhaps Wang Xiuxin had bumped into a fellow villager. After chatting with Lin Zilli for a few more words, she took Aaron's arm and left. Chapter 349 Watching with Cold Eyes. Looks like you have quite a few fans in America, huh? Aaron cradled Wang Xiuxin in his arms and caressed her. Wang Xiuxin smiled and kissed him on the mouth. Some Chinese people know me, right? After all, while Wang Xiuxin had starred in Jack Chang's Rumble in the Bronx, the film's protagonist was ultimately Jack Chang. Hong Kong real estate is getting hotter and hotter, isn't it? Aaron's Heiho investment company's properties in Hong Kong had appreciated significantly in value. Yes, it's very hot. Hong Kong 97 is coming back, and everyone says the mainland won't let the Hong Kong market crash, so, there's a lot of enthusiasm for investing in Hong Kong real estate, and the media are saying Chinese capital will back it up. Wang Xiuxin spent most of her time filming in Hong Kong, so she was well aware of the situation. Aaron smiled. British conglomerates like Jardine Matheson and Swire are profiting from selling properties in Hong Kong and aggressively promoting real estate. Many state-owned enterprises from mainland China have also jumped on the bandwagon and invested in Hong Kong real estate, giving Hong Kong residents more confidence to buy homes. This has led to rampant real estate speculation throughout Hong Kong. The British were also preparing to make another major profit before leaving. So what? We've invested too. Wang Xiuxin, who was lying on Aaron's body, seemed a little worried. Don't worry, it's not that time yet. The problem won't arise until the return. Aaron patted the woman on his back. How much have you invested? Those who bought houses with loans should be worried. Ordinary people in Hong Kong are buying like crazy, buying houses, taking out mortgages, and more. That's good, Wang Xuexin said, feeling relieved. Of course, Aaron smiled, then rolled over and landed directly on top of the woman. Wang Xuexin gasped softly, wasn't that enough just now? What do you think? With that, Aaron immediately covered the girl's lips and kissed her, their fingers intertwined. Because Wang Xuexin had come to the United States specifically to participate in the pre-production of Rush Hour, she would be staying for a while, therefore, Aaron had plenty of opportunities to meet her. At MPAA headquarters in Beverly Hills, MPAA Chairman Jack Valenti convened a meeting of the chairmen of the 7 major film groups, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal, Disney, 20th Century Fox, Sony, and MGM. The battle over the 2 DVD format standards is getting increasingly intense, and this isn't good for us, said 20th Century Fox CEO Peter Chernin, glancing at Warner Brothers. Co-chairman Terry Semel and Sony Pictures Entertainment's new chairman, John Culley. John Culley had just left United Artists to join Sony Pictures Entertainment this year. The current DVD standard format is represented by Sony and Philips on one side, and Toshiba and Time Warner on the other. Joe Ross, chairman of Disney Movies, also knocked on the table. Everyone knows the future of DVD. Look at the development of VCD in China. Last year, Huanayan, the company that invented VCD, produced tens of thousands of units, but that was due to the lack of discs. This year, no less than 200,000 VCD players have been produced. Huanayan has promoted discs, and more movies and music have been recorded. Currently, China has more than 90 VCD manufacturers, and the development momentum is booming. Joe Ross looked at everyone. But DVD is our future, and 2 formats are too wasteful for us, so I hope everyone will unite and make demands on electronics manufacturers to determine the uniqueness of the DVD standard. Shuguang Global agrees, there can only be one standard for DVD. As soon as Joe Ross finished speaking, Tom Rossman, co-president of Universal, spoke. Bill McNichol, 20th Century Fox supports it, too. Frank Marcuse, so does MGM. Sherry Lansing, Viacom and Paramount also support a single DVD standard. Terry Semel of Warner Brothers and John Culley of Sony Columbia glanced at each other and nodded. Jack Valenti pondered for a moment, then I'll contact both parties on behalf of the MPAA and urge them to agree on a single DVD format standard. The importance of Hollywood's 7 major film companies is self-evident. Otherwise, how could DVD players be produced without content support? Without a unified DVD standard, studios would have to produce 2 different formats, which not only wasted resources but also hindered the studio's home entertainment revenue. Now, the 7 major film companies are united, demanding a unified DVD standard among manufacturers, all for profit. Joe Roth, having just gotten into his car after leaving Beverly Hills, received a notice to go to Michael Eisner's house that evening. Is Michael Ovitz going to? Joe Roth's face darkened after hanging up the phone. Michael Ovitz was becoming Disney's president, so he would be his subordinate from now on? He'd always been the head of a major Hollywood film company, and now he had to listen to an agent? Joe Roth had originally thought he'd succeed Frank Wells as Disney's president. Now, an agent had suddenly arrived. That evening, Michael Ovitz excitedly rushed to Michael Eisner's house to discuss future plans with his old friend. Overjoyed, Michael Ovitz already considered himself Michael Eisner's successor at Disney. If all went well, after a few years as Disney's president, he'd become Disney's CEO, and his career would reach new heights. Arriving at Michael Eisner's house, Michael Ovitz heard a heated argument erupting from outside his study. Joe Roth of Disney Films and Peter Schneider of Disney Animation had already arrived. But when Michael Ovitz entered the study, the room immediately fell silent, and the heated conversation came to an abrupt end. Michael Eisner sat at the head, with Joe Roth and Peter Schneider on either side. Michael Eisner said, "Sit down, Ovitz." Michael Ovitz nodded, and just as he was about to sit down, Joe Roth spoke up, somewhat angrily, "Michael, welcome to Disney, but I want to tell you, I won't work for you." Peter Schneider shrugged and looked at Michael Ovitz. "Me too, I won't accept your leadership." According to their positions, Michael Ovitz was the president of Disney Group and should have been their boss. Michael Ovitz, having just entered the study, was stunned and looked at Michael Eisner, hoping for a response. But to his disappointment, Michael Eisner simply watched, ignoring him. An awkward silence fell. Chapter 350 The Crisis. After an awkward hour-long meeting, Peter Schneider and Joe Roth left Michael Eisner's villa, leaving only Michael Ovitz behind. The heads of film and animation had made it clear they didn't want him to lead them, leaving Michael Ovitz worried about his future. Michael Ovitz realized he was facing a crisis. Without management authority, how would he manage the company once he officially took over? More importantly, Michael Eisner, his longtime friend, hadn't stepped in to help him. He felt betrayed. Looking at Michael Eisner, Michael Ovitz's tone was almost pleading. "I really need your help, old friend." Michael Eisner simply shook his head. "You know I can't do this. This is how it is. If you don't want to sign this contract, tell me now." "Huh?" Michael Ovitz trembled, almost unsteady on his feet. His official agreement to become Disney's president had not yet been announced, and resigning now would be a devastating blow to his image. Especially since he had just been abandoned by Seagram, led by Edgar Bronfman Jr., and had already suffered the humiliation of being abandoned once before. He couldn't afford the consequences of another breakdown in their partnership. He had no other choice. ICM headquarters. Nancy Josephson hurried to the office of ICM chairman Jeffrey Berg. Bill Harbour of CAA has left. Richard Lovett is now at the helm, with Kevin Huvanes, Rob Wright, Brian Lord, Rick Nicetta, David O'Connor, and others serving as managing partners. CAA is in a state of panic right now. Our chance has come. Nancy Josephson's face was filled with excitement, her eyes gleaming. Jeffrey Berg smiled. Ronald Mayer has gone to MGM as president, and Michael Ovitz is going to Disney as president. To think that the last of the veterans, Bill Harbour, has also sold out his shares and left CAA. Could CAA, relying on a group of young talent like Richard Lovett, withstand the onslaught of ICM and WMA? Michael Ovitz's joining Disney hasn't been officially announced yet, so wait a minute, Jeffrey Berg reassured him. After all, he was CAA's face. Besides, there were rumors that Michael Ovitz would follow Seagram into MCA, but now that Seagram had acquired MGM, they'd invited Ronald Mayer. Nancy Josephson nodded. She understood. Disney's group president was no joke. It wasn't just about being the president of Disney Studios. Disney was more than just a film company. Michael Ovitz's ambitions to secure the Disney presidency are going to be quite complex. Jeffrey Berg rapped the table. Although Michael Ovitz was one of Hollywood's most successful agents, he had no experience managing a large media conglomerate. An agent's job was essentially a middleman, primarily tasked with getting their clients more money. But now, the nature of their job had completely changed, finding ways to reduce the amount of money their former clients were taking from Disney. Well, can we at least get in touch with some of CAA's artists? By the time Michael Ovitz officially joins Disney, CAA will definitely be in turmoil. Nancy Josephson certainly didn't want to wait. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. With CAA's massive executive shakeup, it was the perfect time to poach talent. Jeffrey Berg nodded. Of course, keep an eye on CAA's artists. Burbank, Dawn Global Headquarters. Aaron sat on the chair and asked Ron Steele, who was sitting opposite him, "How is the Rush Hour project going?" "It's still in preparation. We are still considering the actor to partner with Jack Chang." Aaron smiled and said, "Bad Boys earned $65 million in North America, plus $75 million overseas, a total of $140 million in the global box office. Director Michael Bay's ability has been proven, but the performances of the two black protagonists in it are also very eye-catching. Both Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are very good, and both have outstanding comedic talent, especially Will Smith. If he partners with Jack Chang, there will definitely be unexpected gains." Dawn Steele thought for a while, then nodded. "Indeed, Will Smith performed very well in our Bad Boys. He has a strong comedic talent, and this Rush Hour is an action comedy, so he can really give it a try. Besides, Will Smith is cheaper than other famous movie stars. By the way, how's the development of Good Will Hunting, the script written by two young men, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, going?" It was a script they'd purchased from Castle Rock Entertainment some time ago, with Matt Damon promised to play the leading role. Director Gus Van Sant is very interested in the script. He just directed Julia Roberts' black comedy Desperate and is currently preparing for Good Will Hunting. He's still revising the script. Good Will Hunting is an art film, and Gus Van Sant is a director of art films. He had collaborated with Sue Guang on My Own Private Idaho a few years ago. Now working on Good Will Hunting wasn't too surprising, except that Gus Van Sant didn't like studios interfering in the production of their films. Aaron nodded. It's not bad for Gus Van Sant to do it. Good Will Hunting is just a low-budget art film anyway. That evening, Soo Kwang's action blockbuster Con Air, starring Tom Cruise, held its grand premiere. Aaron also attended the post-screening party. After all, it was a Tom Cruise movie. It seems that the Mission Impossible crew has filmed in several countries in Europe, right? Aaron clinked his glasses with producer Paul Ivana. Paul Ivana smiled. Yes, we went to the Czech Republic, the United Kingdom, and France, and now the crew is filming in Illinois. The response to Con Air is good, which makes me more confident in Mission Impossible. Aaron took a sip of wine and glanced at Tom Cruise not far away. Tom's popularity is not fake. Con Air was filmed very excitingly. I believe that when Mission Impossible is released next year, there will definitely be a big surprise. Paula Wagner raised the corner of her mouth. I hope it will be as you said. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.